Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, you know? Just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. I had, for years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm Ashley Flowers, and if you're like me and grew up watching America's Most Wanted and reading Nancy Drew, then hi, you're a crime junkie. And I bet that passion for solving mysteries never went away, which is why we've assembled a team of reporters to dig deep into all the cases we still obsess over. Each Monday, my best friend Britt and I will bring you a case that you won't be able to stop thinking and talking about. So join us by listening to Crime Junkie wherever you listen to podcasts.
This week, in Chester, South Carolina, when a 12-year-old boy says he's escaped a kidnapper, a giant manhunt takes place, which ends up revealing something stranger than anyone could have imagined. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another insane edition of Small Town Murder. They're always crazy. This week is no exception. We're going to South Carolina, which we've had a history of crazy down there, and it's just as wild. It's always a really weird one down there. It's always some kind of strange, off-the-beaten-path type of case, and that's what we have this week. Insane stuff. We will get to that very quickly. Before we do, shutupandgivememurder.com is where to go for your tickets to the live shows for 2023. It looks like the up through May is for sale right now. The rest will go on sale in the beginning of January. Again, that is not our doing. That is just how it goes. So the first two shows up, February 10th in Cleveland, February 11th in St. Louis. Get your tickets right now.
Hurry up!
They're selling really fast. St. Louis is almost very, very close to sold out. And Cleveland's pushing it too. So don't try to get those at the last minute there. Get your tickets to those immediately. Definitely. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you're going to get all the bonus stuff. Anybody $5 or above, you're going to get access to everything. Whole back catalog, like 150 episodes to binge on of bonus stuff. And then every other week, you're going to get 2 new episodes, with the exception of Christmas, which is this week. This week, you're going to get 1 new episode. We did last year on Christmas. My grandmother died, so we took that off. This year, we're going to do 1 because my son's coming. We're gonna try to actually be humans and enjoy some time with our family. But if they come out on Christmas Eve, but we will give you 1, and it's going to be one we've been saving for you here. We're going to talk about the worst comedy gigs we've ever been a part of. And it's going to be fun. And as a special bonus to the bonus, we're also going to talk about our favorite and least favorite Christmas songs. We're going to do that also. So we're going to do all that. It's on Christmas Eve. Join us for that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you'll also get a shout out, of course, at the end of the show, where Jimmie will mispronounce your name while he tries desperately to get it correct. Desperately. And also, that said, you definitely want to know about crime and sports. We're going to keep around in a smaller, in a shaved down manner. So check out more crime and sports coming to you. Very weird stuff there. That said, disclaimer, this is a comedy show. This is a comedy show. Now, the story, you might go, a comedy show, then this isn't a real story. No, the story's real. That's the crazy part about it. Everything we say is real. The research is definitely real, and we'll give you just as much as 2020 or Dateline or any of that stuff would back in the day, but we're funny, so it makes it even better. It makes it a little bit more fun. We never make anything up, and we go out of our way not to make fun of the victims or the victims' families.
Why, James?
Because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags. And there you go. So there will be jokes, but come on. It's like an old Playboy. It's tasteful. You know what I'm saying? From like the 70s. We shoot
shit Lester Holt wishes he could say.
We shoot her real tastefully. You know what I mean? That's picture us like that.
Yeah.
No, don't picture us like that. Never mind. Camera around our necks.
Profile of the bush. That's all.
Swarthy beard with too much neck hair going, hey, come on. Hey, come over here. It's real tasteful like. So that said, I think it's time to sit back, everybody. Clear the old lungs, and let's shout, Shut up and give me murder! That's right. I hope you scared the shit out of your pets or wherever you are in the grocery store. Like we said, that's always fun. That said, let's go on a trip, Jimmie. Let's do this. We are going... Oh, baby. We're going down to South Carolina. Let's do it. To Chester, South Carolina.
Plural or singular?
Just Chester. One Chester.
Okay.
Ain't no more than one. All you need's one Chester in our town. That's all I'm saying. Chester, which immediately makes you think of molester, which is a bad. That's why it's always going to be a bad name for anything. Chester, not good. This is in like north central South Carolina. 2 hours and 45 minutes to Charleston. About an hour to Columbia. And 3 hours away from Conway, South Carolina, which was our last episode, which was called A Dumb Ted Bundy, which was a very apt description of that idiot.
It's been a little while, huh?
It's been a while since we've been to South Carolina. We had to head on down there. This is Chester County.
Okay.
So it's all Chester.
It's
Chester. The motto here, quote, at the center of it all.
Oh, center of the Chester.
The
Chester of the universe.
Do I even have to ask what? Center of what? What's it all? This county? Northern South Carolina? What are we talking about? There's not a lot of all.
Chester, you'll puke.
Oh, it's too much Chester. So it's a choke. We'll choke you with Chester. Choke down the Chester is their other motto.
Yeah.
Choke it down. History here. Original inhabitants here are the Cherokee Indian tribes. We're here, the Cherokee Indian nations, and other people, traders, came in the early 1700s. And the first kind of, quote, settlers, you could say, came in the 1750s and in the Rocky Creek and Fishing Creek areas, which sounds like there's fish there, so that's positive. Early settlers were like Scotch-Irish immigration from South Pennsylvania.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, there's a lot of names that relate to that in the state for there. Settlers went to South Carolina on the Great Wagon Road. So, they had I guess that headed south or north or wherever.
Yeah.
So the western section of the county was settled by immigrants for the most part, and then a lot of the early settlers settled down near the Catawba River. And it was an agricultural community for a long, long time.
Okay, growing shit.
And then developed into manufacturing in the 1800s because the textile industry boomed.
Yeah.
And, you can put more factories on one farm than you could a shitload of cotton. So that's how that goes. And that actually brought a lot of the Chester Manufacturing Company opened in 1888.
Oh, what did they make?
Brought a lot of jobs there. Textiles. It was all textile shit. Textile mills.
Chester.
Yep. The mills later on became part of Springs Industries, which was one of the world's largest textile companies. So there you go. People from here, a pair of sisters are from here. Debbie Allen, who was in Fame and all that shit, and she's like a dancer and actress and all that, and Felicia Rashad, who's her sister.
No shit.
Absolutely, who is married to Ahmad Rashad and apparently is blind and a little slow on the uptake, we used to call it, I would say, back in the day.
More famously known as a
Say
Bill
that.
Cosby defender.
There you go. That's what I'm getting at. More famously known as going, I don't care if 75 women did come forward. I don't care if 150 women come. How many? That many? How many fucking women did Jesus Christ, this is crazy.
She's got to be a mental patient, right?
I have no idea. I have no clue. Maybe that's why Ahmad Rashad... maybe that's why we don't see him on television as much as we used to. Remember in the 90s? He was everywhere. He's busy like keeping her at bay, just calming her down.
He was on, NBC all the time? He
All
did
the
Inside
time.
the NBA? He did everything.
He wasn't even a basketball player. He played for
No.
the Vikings. He was on Inside the NBA. He's so beloved that he was a football player, and they were like, hey, he can talk about basketball too. Look at him.
He's handsome.
He's handsome. He did sign a 10-day contract and play with somebody once.
Did he?
In the NBA. Yeah, it was just kind of a publicity thing. But
To get out of the house, probably.
Probably. He's like, listen, Felicia's tripping, okay? I don't know what's going on. Bill Cosby
Just
brought
give me
like
10
6
days.
girls over. They left all groggy.
Give me a week and a half out of the house.
Come on.
It'll all simmer. It'll all blow over.
It'll help. Reviews of this town. Holy balls, are these interesting. Here's 5 stars. Wow, hold on. I have to count at the 8. Okay. 5 stars here. Quote, my father stays in Chester. I love the area and want to move there. They have stores just like the city. Oh,
Is that what he said?
they got from fucking period to period, man. Whole sentence. They have stores just like the city. His eyebrows were all up when he said, they got stores just like the city. Upward.
Kind of store.
Just a store. It's a building with a door. You walk in, there's things you can buy. It's wild, man.
Flashing neon light says open.
I heard about things like that. Usually I just trade with a man in a tent on the side of the road. I trade like a pelt for something, you know what I mean? But like this is you walk in, you can only use money, which is weird. It's strange. This is amazing too. The last sentence here. Different water company and lights sometimes be with rent. I mean, it's awesome. 8 exclamation points. So sometimes power and water are included in your rent. And they have stores just like the city. That warrants 8 exclamation points and 5 stars. So 13 total positive
Sometimes
things.
lights and water be with rent.
Be with rent. I mean, it's awesome. What else could you want? Stores just like the city and power and lights included in your rent.
You got a threesome bill right there. You got the water and the lights being with the rent.
Being with the rent. I mean,
We call that a threesome bill.
it's awesome. 8 exclamation points.
1 check, 3
Whoa.
bills. Hat
What?
trick.
Hat trick of bills right there. You got it. So that's a whole review. 5 stars.
Fascinating guy.
I want to meet that person.
Me
They're
too.
so easily pleased.
Yeah.
You could do anything. Like, I would love to do a comedy show for that person. Any amount of anything. They'd be clapping, fucking howling, falling over in their chairs. They'd be like, this is great. You're amazing. He's
There's
telling
jokes
jokes
just
just
like
like
on-
the city. just like on the
On
TV.
the YouTubes.
On the YouTube. He doesn't know about YouTube.
No, he doesn't know about the YouTubes.
I hear there's an internet, but I ain't found it yet.
Well, he put this review on it somehow.
I looked under my house. It ain't there. I don't know where it is. Maybe the
In my
possums done
town,
took it.
The internet and the mail bees together.
Babies together. Next one, 5 stars as well.
Yeah.
Most of the population has lived in Chester all their lives, and elderly people who retire comes to Chester to finish their lives. To finish their lives. That's depressing. Comes to Chester to finish. That sounds like they march them up there, like the Trail of Tears. Come on, old people, move it. Let's go, Grandma. You're going to finish your life up there. Move your ass. Go. Keep up with Grandpa. Let's move your fucking ass, pal.
When your town is a hospice, that's not a positive review.
But they got stores just like the city. Here's 4 stars. I love how Chester is a small country setting. Country capitalized, by the way, for some reason. If you love anything about nature, then Chester is the place for you. The people are always friendly, and everybody knows everybody. Chester is your family away from home.
Oh.
That sounds like an ad for it. The next 2 are very simple. 3 stars, we do not have many attractions. Okay? But you got stores.
You got a guy there that's fascinating.
He's like, wow, look at that. They got electricity over here and everything. It's included in the rent? No, you don't. No.
Be together.
When he first heard it, he probably just said, no, like 100 times till somebody finally, and he's like, oh my God, Jesus, that done broke my brain. Jesus.
Lights and water.
Y'all hear this? Here's 2 stars. This is the weirdest review I've ever read in my life. It is 5 words long. It's the weirdest review I've ever heard in my life. No capital letters, no punctuation. Quote, you see people dying every day. Yeah, generally.
Dark, man.
Generally, yeah. I mean, but like in your house, that'd be weird. But in general,
see it?
You see it. They're on the street collapsing. Like when you see trees leaning over on another tree, except they're just on the sidewalk. Same thing. So people in this town, 5,363. It is 54.9% female, which is way out of whack of the average. I don't understand why that is.
55, 45.
Don't get it at all. Median age, 37.5, which it's really weird, though. The ages are mostly 25 to 34 and 0 to 9. So that is people and their kids.
Yeah.
And also they have twice as many 85 and over as normal. So it's just babies and old people. That's it.
Babies and old people going to finish out their lives.
Finish up their lives. Well, they don't say retire. That's what I'm going to say. If I ever retire somewhere, I'm going to go finish up my life over here now. Now the wife and I are going to finish up our lives up in New Hampshire, I think, maybe up by the Canadian border.
Finish off our lives.
I'm going to be a maple harvester, and that's what we're going to do. So 31.7% married. It's usually 50-50. 39% are single with children here.
Is that right?
So party time. Yeah,
Hell
we got some people with loose morals and fucking no attachments. I like it. I like it a lot.
We put out and we get down.
That's right. Race here, different from a lot of our towns, 28% white, 69.2% black. 0.6% Asian, and 1.2% Hispanic. So like a lot of southern towns, black and white, and nobody else.
Yeah.
Kind of, that's what it is. Religion here, 52.8% of the people are religious, and without any shock or surprise, 24% of the people here are Baptist. That is the most one.
Yeah.
Baptists are, as we know, the Catholics of the South. There we are. Last election in Chester County, 44.1% of the people voted Democratic, 55% Republican, 1% Independent. Median household income here, Jimmy. Hold on to your hat because you're going to have to sell it to donate to these people because you're going to feel bad. Go ahead and guess.
Is it $22,000?
Are you kidding me? $22,639 a year. How the fuck did you know that?
I didn't. You said low, so I just guessed my birthday.
There you go. 22. That's the one. You got it. That is amazing.
I guessed like a dum-dum and I nailed it.
That's some savant shit you got going on there, Jimmy. Luck is a talent.
I literally did.
Luck is a talent sometimes. Embrace it. You know?
That's incredible.
Holy shit.
22,600.
22,619. Not a lot of money here.
Oh my God.
Normally about 55, so that's
frightening.
That's very low. Overall cost of living here, 100 is average. Here it's 77, so it's not even that low. Housing is low, though. Median home cost $81,700.
Still too much.
Still too much. And from what it sounds like, I don't want to live here if it's free, but I don't want to be here. So if you do, though, if we've convinced you want to go, drive by where Felicia Rashad grew up, we have for you the Chester, South Carolina Real Estate Report. Okay, average two-bedroom rental here, $617, about half the national average. So,
but James, lights and water.
And it's included. That's what I'm saying. For $617, power, they bees included. So what more do you want? It bees with it. Now, here's one, two-bedroom, one bath, 887 square foot. It doesn't look like much of a house. It looks like where you'd dare someone to spend a night.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, I'll give you $100 if you stay there till sun up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those very murdery. The kids definitely don't stop here on Halloween. They pick their pace up as they walk past it on Halloween. $45,000 for that.
Jesus.
I guess fix it up. I don't know. Here's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,334 square foot house. It's very cool, actually.
Yeah.
It's like a small Victorian. That's not a tiny house, but a Victorian house is usually bigger. It's like a miniaturized version of that. It's old-fashioned, but cool. Mm-hmm. Old-fashioned, like done on purpose, old-fashioned.
Sure.
Got the cool banister for the stairs and shit like
Hell
that.
Yeah.
It's a cool little house. It's really nice. $389,900 for that, though. You're going to pay
2,000 square feet. You got room.
You got room, but if the average house, I feel like there's a few nice houses, and then your average house is a dump. That's what it sounds like this town is like. Here's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,800 square foot house. Hey. It's nice, 2.38 acres.
Yes.
It's very cool. The yard is cool, too. It looks really nice. Nice walkway up to the door. It's cool. It's got a lot of wallpaper. We'll put it that way. So that's going to be a problem.
You're gonna be steaming some shit off. Huh?
You're going to be steaming and painting, but otherwise it's really nice. It's actually a really cool old house that you could turn into something awesome, but it's going to cost you $468,000 for that, though. So,
oh, boy.
A little on the pricey side. Things to do. Oh, geez. Here we go. South Carolina Strawberry Festival. Yeah, I love strawberries. I'm in.
Yeah.
Except when you hear how weird it is. There is the Little Miss Strawberry pageant.
Nope.
I don't like that at all.
I'd really like to know how far we are away from those all going away.
In the South, 6,000 years. I mean, what the fuck, you know? And people down there, they know exactly which they're either pro pageant and they're like, hell yeah, we ain't ever getting rid of it, or they're like, yep, they're never getting rid of it. Either one, it's never going away. Then there's the Teen, Miss, and Ms. Strawberry pageant. Ms. Strawberry. I crown you Ms. Strawberry. There you go, honey.
What is that? Is that a divorce lady? Is that
no?
What Ms.
Ms. is just not non-denominational for marriage. It's you could be married, you could be single. It's just to not identify someone by their title like that. So it's just Ms. It's the female Mister. So competition will be held there on April 30th. The Strawberry Sprint and Stroll, which is a race. I don't know if you're in some sort of strawberry contraption or what. There wasn't any pictures.
Yeah.
I imagine like a giant plastic strawberry on wheels that you have no control over, and they just push you down a hill. That's what I imagine.
No motor brakes or
no, nothing. They just push you down a hill, and at the bottom, you just come to a stop eventually in a field somewhere.
Like that Boy Scout car race, where you got to build a little car and then you roll it down a hill.
Soapbox racing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, soapbox racing. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, the Strawberry Scavenger Hunt. Which I don't know if you're looking for strawberries.
Shit in the strawberries?
Shit in the I don't know. Strawberry Doggy Fashion Show.
Okay.
Dress your pooches in strawberry attire, and then you get a free snow cone if you do that. So,
what?
I mean,
that's the prize?
That's the prize. There is no winner. You just all get a snow cone. Strawberry Baby Virtual Contest. What the fuck is that? I don't know. But photos can be submitted April 1st through the 30th, and then you start voting on Facebook. So,
and it's
I don't know.
Okay.
So I don't know what it even is.
The point?
I think it's a virtual. It's baby pictures. So you don't have to, because a baby pageant's weird. You hold the baby up. What do you think of that one? Like it's a prize calf or something? Huh? Pretty cute, right?
Its ankle.
Yeah, pretty cute, right? You throw it to the next one. They put it on a big hook and it weighs it. You're like, oh, wow. Look at it.
A little too fat for my liking.
Oh, man, that baby's like a muskie. I don't think I like it. It's a muskie baby. So there's the Strawberry Festival Golf Tournament. Downtown Strawberry Jam.
Okay.
A little punny there. Enjoy live music, food, kids' activities, and more on Main Street. Strawberry Idol.
Okay.
Which is share your amazing voice with us. It's American Idol with Strawberry. It's fucking stupid. Jesus
it's
Christ.
It's the most famous TV show that was ever on. We get it,
That's
people.
the one. So there's your Strawberry Festival, and there's bands and shit that are so good that they don't even put them on the website and tell you who they are. That's how good they are.
And other music.
Also, there's the Floppy Fish Festival.
What is that?
Or Flop Eye Fish Festival. Flop Eye Fish Festival. Flop Eye, in one word, EYE, like flop and eye, cram those together, held each year in Great Falls and is Chester County's longest-running festival. The family-oriented festival traditionally brings thousands of visitors to the river town. Activities include fun for all ages with a street dance. They love a street dance down there, too.
They really do.
Get out of the road, for Christ's sake. People are trying to drive and go about their business. Entertainment, car show, carnival, roving entertainers. Oh, great. Annoy me even when I don't come to see you, annoy me. Thanks a lot. Love when they do
I'm
that.
over here because I didn't want to see that.
Pick a card. Fuck you. Leave me alone. I was talking to somebody. Food adventures include a large variety of foods, including fish. Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, it's
the fish festival.
Yeah.
Either way, that doesn't matter. Crime rate in this town, what we are interested in, the thing that does matter, I'll tell you something, pal. Crime rate, property crime is about twice the average of normal. So there's some
it's a little dangerous.
Some shit stealing going on. Well, let's find out. Violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, over twice the average.
So dangerous.
It's more than twice the. It's just this country town. They got stores just like the city, and it's all nice. But Jesus Christ, watch out! Maybe that's why you see people dying every day. There's so much violent crime. There's people just keeling over in the streets. I thought they were sick. They have stab wounds. Look closer. Holding their stomach. That's not cancer. He's just trying to stop the blood flow.
He got a head wound, for Christ's sake.
That said, let's talk about a murder.
Let's do it. It sounds like they've got plenty.
It sounds like there's plenty to choose from, but this is one that you wouldn't expect at all.
Yeah.
Totally at all. Well, let's start out here. Let's get right into this shit. Okay. November 29th, 2001.
Oh, boy.
Some post 9/11 shit here, as we like to say in that time.
Yeah.
So... yeah, that
was a time that a lot of things happened in this country and nobody talked about it because there was no point to.
Well, it wasn't on the news. The only things on the news were, are we going to blow something up, and who's trying to blow us up, and that's all it was. It was all international.
Is it possible that there's still people alive under that and we're digging?
Yeah, that's the what are they going to do with the site? There was a lot of shit there. Yeah, but down south though, I don't know if they were thought of it the same way, but or in rural South Carolina anyway, not like down south in general. So November 29th, 2001, it's a little before 7 a.m., okay? Before 7 a.m. This is not even in Chester County. This is 2 counties away. So we'll talk about that. There's a couple of guys here, and they are going hunting. Their names are Pennington and Robinson, these 2 guys, okay? They drove their 1996 truck to a hunting club, parked it on a logging road, then proceeded to a four-wheeler, which was a quarter mile down the logging road.
Yeah.
They drove the four-wheeler down there. They get out. They had their normal spot they hunt at. So this is their usual deal here. Pennington gets up in his spot, finds the intersection of 2 logging roads where he set up a camouflage tripod deer stand in the swamp.
Jesus.
So he's like in the swamp above it waiting.
He's in a tree somewhere, like up in a blind?
Yeah, in a swamp area. After walking a short distance to the stand, he climbs about 15 feet up a ladder and prepares himself to wait. So there you go. That's what you do when you hunt. You just sit there and wait. By the way, a lot of this came from a book, and I'll give you the name of the book at the end of the show. I can't give it away early because it'll give away. The title of the book tells you exactly what happened, so we can't give it away now. It's got to be at the end. If you wanted to be, whoever wrote it wanted to be at the top of the show, they should have named it something a little A little more nuanced.
A little less on the nose, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, and it did also send me looking for and finding another book, which is hilarious, and we got to talk about at the end. So
Great.
Some very funny shit coming at the end there. So he goes up in the deer stand there, 15 feet up. Now Robinson, the other guy, his deer stand was on the opposite side of those woods. Okay. So he cut across the intersection, drove past a cemetery on his way to the other side of the woods, so they don't, shoot each other, I assume. Yeah. And I'm not a hunter, but I would assume that's probably your main goal is don't shoot the guy you came with, probably, right?
I don't know. I'm sure it's happened before.
I mean, it definitely happened before. The Vice President of the United States did it while in office, so we know it happened before.
Right in the face.
Right in the face. Yeah, it's like, oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to. The guy he shot was so old, too. That was the funny part. And then he apologized for getting shot, which was the funniest thing ever.
I got in your way. I mean, that was your shot. I apologize.
The kids used to call me Big Face growing up. I could never get anything out of it. Just kids would punch and there's my face. I'd go, I'm sorry. Did I catch your fist on my chin? I'm sorry about that.
Look at all my wife's pictures. Every one of them. It's the back of my head because I just walk in front of her when she takes a picture.
Every picture is her and half of my head. See that? We just can't fit it in. So I say, just get half. So
I'm always in somebody's shot.
Always. As he's driving, he notices a black Nissan Pathfinder, which was the 90s Pathfinders were like an SUV, but like not a giant SUV, not a crossover, kind of like a midsize.
It was a midsize. Yeah. That was a great car. Holy
they're
shit,
cool.
Those are cool cars.
Those are cool, those Pathfinders. So it's parked on the left side of the road, about 20 feet from the truck. From the Pathfinder, he slows down to see if anybody's in it. And there's no one inside of it. So he's like, oh, shit. They're probably out hunting in my woods here that I came to hunt in. This sucks. So, he was like, shit, I got to worry about that now. Terry, who's this guy, the second guy, Terry Robinson, he's the president of the hunting club. And he usually gets a printout of all the vehicles and the people who are hunting there when they're hunting. It's like you make an appointment. So he was pissed off that this guy's hunting where he's not supposed to be. I have this blocked off for me. God damn it. So the members had bought they buy scheduling. That's what you do. Yeah. That's part of your fees is to have your spot be your spot.
And that keeps things safe, too, because then people aren't just wandering through where I'm about to take a 300-yard shot.
Well, you know where other people are. That helps, too. So, where that could be that guy rather than a deer. So he makes a mental note of the description and drives down toward his deer stand there by the creek. So parks the four-wheeler, walks another quarter of a mile through a lot of dense shit, gets to his tree stand, sits in his tree stand hanging out up there for about an hour. Okay. So waiting, nothing going on. He hears what sounds like a truck coming through the woods at that point. Mm-hmm. So he goes, oh, shit, it's probably that SUV that I saw, but who knows? That's the only other truck I could imagine that would be in here. But people do come down this old logging road sometimes, but, not often. So he can hear like limbs and shit breaking because there's a lot of like branches and shit in the road. It's a logging road. It's not like paved or anything. So then he hears the truck stop a few minutes later. He says for the next 3 minutes, he listens to tires spinning and limbs breaking and more, a car stuck in the mud.
Stuck.
Yep. Yeah. So he hears all of that. And he goes, oh, that must be stuck there. Then he would hear the truck door open and close, and then you'd, look so he can try to put a stick under it. Probably a lot of swearing, I would imagine. If that was me, or God forbid, when I was a kid, my father, there'd be a lot of swearing going on right now. A lot. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, Believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
I could just tell you that. So he heard someone talking, and I'm sure swearing.
Yeah.
He's just pissed off because he says, this is fucking my hunting up now.
Yeah. You're scaring off all the deer.
Trucks spinning their tires and people cursing at cursing their luck at the top of their lungs isn't good for deer. They don't usually come for that.
Somebody loudly hating Nissan.
Yeah, son of a bitch. So he's looking there. Now, the other guy on the other side of the swamp, the guy he came with, Pennington, he heard it too. Here's the tires spinning and all that, and also hears everything coming from the road as well. Sure. So then about 15 minutes later, they both heard the crack of a small caliber rifle about 20 yards behind him, 25 yards behind him, the Pennington guy. It sounded like it was a .22 anyway. That's what he thought. He said he's very familiar. He's a hunter, so he's very familiar with what these firearms sound like in the woods. He said it definitely wasn't a high-powered deer rifle. It was more of a little .22. He figured somebody's probably hunting rabbits or squirrels or some shit like that. Yeah. So he scanned the woods, and he was nervous, though, because he's like, I hope this fucking person knows I'm here, or I could get shot, obviously. Then he hears, help, help. Pennington does. So he's like, okay. He looks from side to side. He's looking out. He said it sounded like a little kid, like it was a little voice. Like a boy voice, like that sort of thing.
Like a child.
But a boy child. He said he hears, please, somebody help me, I'm lost again. Okay. So he said, fuck, now I got to fucking deal with this. He listened a little harder. He could hear, over here, I'm over here, blah, blah, blah. So he says, okay, yeah, come over here. I'm in a tree stand. Follow the sound of my voice and come over here. Harder for me to get down than it is for you to walk over here. So he said he could see the figure of a boy walking toward him, fighting his way through the underbrush. And he gets over there to the deer stand, and the hunter, Pennington, asks him, how'd you get out here? And the boy said, and then he said, and what's your name? And the boy is dressed in hunting clothes, and he's holding a rifle. Oh. So that looks normal. And the boy says, my name's Christopher Pittman. And they said, oh, okay. Then before the guy could ask any other questions, the hunter, the boy comes out with, this black guy kidnapped me. He brung me here. He killed my grandparents and burned our house up, too.
Oh, my God.
That's what he says. So they were like, whoa, what the fuck? This Pennington's like, huh? He goes, what about that shot I heard a while ago? Was that this guy? And the young boy said, it was the black guy. He shot at me. Okay. So he's saying basically he's running through the woods escaping from a murderer is what he's saying.
He's got a rifle.
And he's got the guy shooting at him is the way this goes. So he's like, what the fuck? Now the hunter is a little freaked out. He's like never seen just a little boy wandering the woods before while he's been out here. So that's odd. And the guy he's telling you he's been kidnapped and his grandparents have been murdered. So he's like, I don't know about that. I don't know. Is this kid part of some scam? Some kind of You know, somebody trying to sucker me.
In Realtree with a rifle and spinning a yarn. Who are you, boy?
Spinning tires and yarns like crazy. So what's up with that?
Was he the one in the car?
Well, they don't know. That's what they're trying to figure out. So the Pennington's thinking, well, if the guy he's talking about, this alleged kidnapper, if he drove him out here, that meant that this guy was still out in the woods somewhere. So, and he's got a rifle because he shot at the boy. So he's like, and maybe he said, well, who's to say this little boy isn't some kind of setup now for this? Who knows what's going to happen here? So Pennington grabs his rifle, climbs down out of the tree stand there, deer stand, same thing. He can see that the boy is carrying a .45 caliber lever action rifle.
Hey,
so he's got a hitter there. That's not a.
You got a bigger gun than me, boy.
Yeah, he's looking to
hit deer today.
He's looking to take down a bear or some shit out there. It's a fucking big gun. So, and it was cocked with the hammer pulled back, and the boy had his finger in the trigger guard, and he's waving the gun all around while he's talking and shit. So the guy's like, hey, calm down.
Let's put that down a sec.
Making me nervous. So Pennington said, how about you handing me your gun? And he said that the boy gripped it tighter. Yeah. Pittman, he just gripped it tighter. He was like, no, I don't want to give it to you. So he's like, you're a stranger I met in the woods.
Yeah.
That's how deliverance happened, isn't it? I don't want to.
Right. Well, worse, like, the only thing keeping me safe right now is that I'm armed.
Yeah.
I'm about to be unarmed?
People go to jail for having things like this on film. You know what I'm saying? Right. This is creepy. I don't like this at all. So he said, I would like to give me your gun. How about handing your gun? He said no. So then Pennington took all the shells out of his gun. Like, look, I'm taking my shells out of my gun. Let's both be unarmed. And, that's fine. He ends up giving him the gun. Okay. The kid gives him the gun. He empties it. It was full up with ammo, the kid's gun. Kid's gun is completely loaded, shell in the chamber and everything.
Wow.
And he said, do you have any more guns on you? And he said, no, that was the only weapon he had with him. And I was like, okay. He said, and the boy just said, Christopher told Pennington, I want you to show me how to get out of these woods. Okay. That's all he asked for. So Pennington stood talking near the deer stand, and he's trying to direct him. He's like, if you go over there's a main highway out that way. That's fine. He notices that the boy, Christopher, has a cut on him, on his arm, on his hand. He said, well, it's probably trying to get through these woods. He probably got snagged on something. He said the boy looked nervous and scared, like anybody who would be wandering the woods, running from a kidnapper for hours in a strange place, lost. Normal thing, especially a small child. Not small. He looks, 10, 12, something like that. He can't tell how old he is. So he said, I can't just send this guy back, this poor boy, into the woods to say, there's the exit, I'll be hunting. What if the guy who's chasing him finds him and fucking dismembers him? I got to deal with that, have that on my conscience.
He's not asking where the bathroom is in this restaurant. He's asking, can you save my life, please? That's
what I'm saying. He's like, he doesn't just say, well, there's a payphone over there. I don't know. So Pennington finally, and I'm sure after a big... I'm sure he did one of those, and he's like, fuck. One fucking day a week I hunt. Do you understand? You know what I got to go through with the wife just to do this one fucking day a week? Do you get it?
Yeah.
It's a fucking fight. When I go home
she doesn't
tonight.
Even get up to make my breakfast for me when I come out here, so I have to fend for myself. And then I'm out here, I'm going to shoot something, and then she's going to eat it too. That's not fair.
Yeah, but she won't, she'll still be mad at me. Like, you had to leave the house for all day for this. I could have got it at the store. So... Yeah. Help me.
I'm going to come back. She's going to bitch at me, and then I'm going to make tacos, and she's going to bitch at me.
So that's what he's thinking, I think, Pennington here. He said, well, fuck, all right, I'll take you. He said, why don't you follow me? My partner's not too far from here. We'll walk over to where he's hunting. He's got a four-wheeler, and then we'll drive you out of here and get you some help. So they're looking for the other guy. They find him in the tree stand over there, Robinson. So they walk toward him with some little boy, he's like, why the hell did you get the kid? What's going on here?
This is what we were hunting for, man.
Christopher points out the four-wheeler, and he said, yeah, that black guy stopped and looked at your four-wheeler when we first pulled in. He knows it's here. So Robinson said, well, if he knows it's here, then he knows we're here, and he'll be looking for us to drive it out. We've got no choice but to leave it sitting right here. That's what Robinson said. Well, he's going to be looking for that. We got to sneak out another way. So they're like, fuck, we have to, like the Viet Cong are out there. They have to get around it here. So he's like, shit. So they said, wait a minute, we're going to drive out of here. I don't think it's a good idea to just leave the four-wheeler sitting here in the swamp. We should drive out of here. This is stupid. So they're going back and forth on that. Finally, they said, yeah, we're going to leave it here for now. We don't want to let this guy know where we're at. If he's armed, he can just pick us off one at a time as we drive through out of the woods on a four-wheeler. That's stupid. He said we've got less of a chance of spotting him, of him spotting us if we walk out, in a better way. So they pointed toward a trail that they hadn't previously taken, but would also lead them out. So they said, we don't want to make any noise, leave the four-wheeler. Pennington said, I'm trying to get us out of here without anybody knowing it. I don't know if there's anybody in these woods or not, but I don't want to find out there's a guy behind us or a guy behind us behind some tree with a high-powered rifle as we come through. This is nuts. So they know the property very well, which is good. The boy is very polite, Christopher, very polite. Yes, sir, no, sir, all that kind of, respect for elders type of shit.
Good boy.
Good, yeah, manners, Southern manners type of deal there. And so they go through the cemetery, they walk through the woods. They never saw any signs or heard anybody else out there. So they're like, maybe this guy ran away. Who knows? Christopher told them that he had a car somewhere on the road over there, but he never asked the hunters to take him back to it. They just assumed since it was his car, he'd want to go back there. So they said, is your car on this road? And he shrugged his shoulders. Christopher, he didn't know where it was. Yeah. So they went up another road where they spotted the car up about 20 yards ahead. It's bogged down and stuck and all that kind of shit, stuck in the mud. They asked Christopher how his car got this far down the logging road, and he said, the black man, he took it and drove it here.
Okay.
So suddenly, out of nowhere, a dog runs out from under the car and charges at Pennington.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the dog is growling and barking. Pennington backs away from the dog. He never saw the dog before, and he doesn't, there's a fucking wild woods dog? What is this? You know what I mean? So Pennington said, we might have to shoot the dog. Shit. I don't want to shoot a dog. We might have to. Christopher never said that's my dog, even though it is Christopher's dog.
What the fuck, Chris?
Christopher said it's never said it's my dog, but he said he's got a name, too. His name is Christy. Chris D. He said, Christopher said, go ahead and shoot it. If you'll give me the gun, I'll shoot it. That's what he said. It's his dog. So Pennington thought, this kid really wants to shoot the dog. No. He goes, the dog's barking at me. Let's see if it calms down for a little while. And eventually it chills the fuck out. And he goes, yeah, let's keep walking. We'll leave the dog here. If he wants to follow, fine. So they reach Robinson's truck at the end of the road. One of the hunters there. Christopher gets in the truck, sits in the back seat. He's told that he's being driven to the fire department where Robinson's a volunteer fireman. He said he'll have access to the building and he can call 911 from there and get some assistance. Okay. There we go. Now, this is good. Get some professional help in here. So Pennington said, just make certain you don't try anything up the road. He turned, and he was suspicious of Christopher still. So he was like, I don't know what your deal is. So he never said a word. It's a 15-minute trip, and Christopher was just silent in the back seat the whole time. They lead him into the fire department. Christopher's told to stand near a desk, and they said, take everything you got out of your pockets. So Christopher pulls out fistfuls of bullets and puts them on the desk. That's what he's got in his pockets. He says, is that all you got with you? And he said, no, I got a bunch of guns and some money back there in my car. Oh. This kid's like 12. They're like, why do you have a car and dogs and money and guns when you're 12, when you're driving in the woods? What the fuck is going on here? So they call 911, and they say to Christopher, so I give the police the correct information when they get here. Can you tell me how, again, you were kidnapped? So, I can give them a briefing. Mainly, he's just curious to hear the story. Mm-hmm. So he tells a story, and he says, quote, I was in the house cleaning the shotgun. I heard someone come inside the house. I just ran outside, and this black guy started chasing me out of there. He told me if I didn't stop, he'd shoot me. He killed my grandparents, took our car, and brought me out here. That's his story.
That's it.
Didn't mention fire this time, but he says
nor
that. Nor the dog. They said, well, what did this black guy look like? And he said, Christopher said, he was tall, probably around 6 feet 2 inches.
Okay.
He said, okay, he's about 5'2", Christopher at the time, and 90 pounds. He's 12. Right. He's a prepubescent child. So They were like, well, yeah, that could work. They said, did you get a name? Know the guy's name? And he said, no, but that black guy wouldn't tell me his name. He said he was scared if I got away from him, I'd tell on him. Gee, for killing his family and kidnapping him? That'd be surprising, right? I think you turn on me, man. I don't think you're loyal at all, kid. Disloyal little cocksucker. I don't like it at all.
I feel like if you got away from me, you wouldn't just get a job and go on with your life.
Yeah, and just be like, man, when I was a kid one time, a black guy killed my grandparents, then go on washing dishes. I don't think that would happen, probably. You're probably going to need to discuss this, maybe. So, looks at him, and they're just like, what a weird, this is just, the whole thing is bizarre. They don't know what the fuck to do. Now, meanwhile, the evening before, at 11:52 p.m., 8 hours earlier or so, in Chester there's a fire off Slick Rock Road, and it's called into Station 12 that there's a fire, 11:52 p.m., and the volunteer fireman, this guy Tommy Martin, arrives at the firehouse. He unlocks the whole thing, punches the alarm button, which is literally like an air raid siren that tells everyone in the town there's a fire.
Yeah.
It's not just an alarm that goes out like to the firemen. It's just a fucking through the whole town. So you'd be like, where's the fire?
It's a tornado warning.
If you heard that, you would jump out of bed and start looking around your house for a fire.
Make sure it's not yours.
Yeah. Is it mine? Fuck. That's a terrifying noise. You're not going back to sleep. You might as well look for fire, I suppose. Why not? So that they get a lot of volunteers in the fire department that way. It's like, well, trust me, when something's on fire, y'all ain't going to sleep anyway. So whatever you're doing, there's going to be a big old horn in the background. So y'all might as well sign up.
Bring coffee.
And that way you can just show up and at least you can see the fire and, take part in it. So he does that, cranks out the noise. They do all that. And, Jesus Christ, man. These are all volunteer fire people at the station as well. He calls in his brother, who's another fire volunteer, and he's at home asleep. He gets the call. They go out to the firehouse. While they're looking for signs in the air of smoke and fire. They're looking to see if it's a forest fire, because that's what they assume it is, because there's more forest than anything else around there. So they're like, oh, Christ, forest fires are a pain in the ass. Flames jump around. You got to cut down trees. It's a huge pain in the ass. But they said that they didn't think it was a firefighter or a forest fire by the way they were doing it here. The chief comes in, the fire chief, James Red Weir.
Yeah.
Him and his wife come in. He's got to be 70-something years old because his wife and him have been married over 50 years at this point.
Jeez.
Him and his wife, Lucy. So him and Lucy get their elderly asses out of bed and start getting dressed and go to the fire.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. They say somebody called in a forest fire near the Pittman's house. So they go down there, and again, they look toward the sky. They see the smoke, and Red says, I don't think that's a forest fire.
No.
So they're going to the house, or near the house, of the Pittmans, who are, they've been married a long time. Joe Frank he goes by. Joe Frank. His name is Joe Frank Pittman. They call him Joe Frank. Remember we said you have to have a second name in the South, even if it doesn't work? Well, Joe Frank doesn't work.
That's the worst I've ever heard.
Frankie Joe would be a little better than Joe Frank. Joe Frank's one of the. That's like one of the ones we make up when we go. Even if it was Joe Frank, they'd say, "Yeah, you're Joe Frank now."
Todd Bob.
Joe Frank. Jesus Christ.
Joe Frank.
Joe Frank. What the fuck is that, man? Jesus Christ. What is that?
I don't even.
It doesn't.
Why would you do
flow at all?
I guess it's because there's so many Joes. There's got to be a fucking a baker's dozen Joes.
You're Joe Frank, and you're Joe Bill,
block.
and you're Joe Bob, and you're Joe fucking Mike, and you're Joe Mike. Yeah. I was going to say Tim Mike because I felt like that's a Joe Frank, Tim Mike.
Joe Frank.
Joe Frank is 66 years old. 66 years of being called Joe Frank.
66 years.
And he never was like, please stop calling me that.
Being waterboarded with Joe Frank.
Just call me Frank, for fuck's sake. Too many Joes for you? I'm Frank. Why do you insist? And his wife.
I never want to go by my middle name also.
No. Also, he's 66. His wife's name is Joy, and she goes by Joy Frank. So, no, I'm just kidding. No, yes, she goes by Joy Frank. No. But it would make just as much sense.
It would, yeah.
She's 62. Now, Joe is an avid fisherman, hunter, outdoorsman type of guy. Yeah. All that kind of thing. He's born in 1935. His dad's a mill worker who worked at the Minetta Mills in Lando. So, he gets married he finds Joy. They start having kids. Their first child is Joe, and that's Chris's father, as we'll talk about, the Pittman family. That's the little boy's father is Joe. These are his grandparents that we're talking about.
Joe Frank is his grandpa.
Joe Frank's Christopher's grandpa, and then Joe Jr. is Christopher's father. So there's Joe Frank and Joe Jr., but it's not Joe Frank Jr., which is weird.
What the fuck?
They call him Joe Jr. even though he's not a junior. He's actually, the son is Joe Dolphus Pittman, but they call him Joe Jr., even though
Joe Dolphus is the worst.
Yeah, I'm surprised they just don't call him that, though. Joe Dolph.
There's nobody else named Joe Dolphus.
No, Joe Dolph. Just make it one word. Joe Dolphus. It's biblical, Joe Dolphus. That's what the name is. It's from the Bible. You ever read Joe Dolphus 35:17? Joe Dolphus 35:17 says you don't need necessarily to wear shoes when you go to the grocery store. That's the one of the Psalms that he has. Joe Dolphus. That's Joe Dirt's full name. Joe Dolphus, probably.
Joe Dolphus Dirt.
Joe Dolphus Dirt. I feel like that's his name. One word. So, holy shit, man. Joe Jr. was in the U.S. Army and was in the demolitions unit. He loved to blow shit up, mixing chemicals and gunpowder and popping shit off and blowing shit up. Now, Joe Sr. here, Grandpa, Joe Frank. Joe Frank worked at the railroad for 43 years.
Shit.
43 railroad years he spent. And then he retired from the railroad, and they lived in Sumter County, Florida, and they got all their shit, and they came up here to retire, which you rarely hear of people leaving Florida to retire. It's known as fucking death's waiting room or heaven's waiting room or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And so you don't hear that often, but I guess you go here, it's cheaper. I don't know, man. They did say people come here to finish out their lives. So.
Right. Joe Frank's doing exactly that.
Doing exactly that. In 1997, this is all in 1997 they do this, so it's been 4 years they've lived here, and they loved it. They love this town. They got all sorts of friends, and they immediately they're in the fiber and fabric of the town.
So Joe Jr. moved up there with Joe Frank?
No. He still lives in Florida and all over the place, as we'll talk about. But Joe Frank loves hunting, fishing, outdoor shit. Joy likes arts and crafts. She volunteers at the hospital.
They both retired people shit.
Exactly. They both volunteer at church. He goes fishing. She volunteers at the hospital. They live on a 20-acre lot off Slick Rock Road, and they built the home there. So they have a house built, and they have a 20-foot motorhome too, in case they want to go out on the road. They're living like a retirement dream. They love it. Yeah,
it sounds great.
They built the whole thing. This house built 4 years ago by their blood, sweat, and tears of 43 years of railroad work. So at this moment, it's on fire, though, the house.
Yeah.
It's definitely on fire. Red Weir, the fire chief, realized it's got to be a structure fire because he said, and this is interesting, he said smoke from a structure fire goes straight up. Yep. He said it doesn't billow as much. It goes straight up. He said think of it like steam from a boiling pot of water.
Yeah.
Because it's inside of something, so there's pressure.
Yeah. And the center fuel, when it's a forest fire, it's wide.
Yes.
And when it's a structure, it's center fueled and just goes straight up. That makes sense.
When it's kind of pressurized inside, it's going to blow out the top rather than have everywhere to go and go to the sides. So now Red said that he's talking to his wife, who's his wife of over 50 years, and he says, you saw Joe and Joy tonight at church, didn't you? This is one of those every day at church kind of towns. She said, yeah, they were all there rehearsing for the upcoming Christmas play.
Oh, they're in it.
They're in it's the Christmas play.
Yeah.
Lucy played the organ and Joe sang in the choir.
Okay.
And Joe was in the whole deal, and Lucy is the Red's wife, the fire chief's wife. She played the organ, Joe sang in the choir, everything. Christopher, the boy, was sitting in the church auditorium listening to the rehearsal that night. And they said, so Red asked her, did they look okay when they were at church? And she said, yeah. And he said, well, they'll be just fine when you see him again. I'm sure that they're just...
Did they look okay then? There wasn't a house fire then.
Did they look like maybe their house would be on fire later? Did that anything like that? Were they like...
Did they have any burns all over?
Was there any smoke coming out of their jackets? Did you see any just like a little trail of smoke behind them maybe? Just something on ember? Possibly.
Smell a little like bacon? No?
Something, smell anything like that? No? Shit, damn it, that's weird. So they expect to pull up and see them out on the lawn trying to put it out with a fucking garden hose while they, the wife's standing back there crying and holding whatever meager photo albums she could grab on the way out or something.
Watching her retirement literally go up in flames.
Their whole dream here. So they get there, they get to the fire station, 7-minute response time to go to the house, which is pretty goddamn good, I gotta say.
Not bad for a small town.
No, Tommy Martin, one of the volunteer firemen, had fished with Joe Frank a bunch of times and visited his house, ate dinner with them, and it was like, oh, my buddy's house is on fire. That's terrible. So they get out there to the Pittman property, and it is on fucking fire. It's engulfed in flames. The roof is already starting to cave in.
Oh,
It's fucked. The porches, big wooden porches, are completely burned off on the outside. Gone. The fire's everywhere. The grass, the surrounding woods, the 20-foot motorhome is on fire next to it.
Oh, no.
It's a fucking mess. The neighbors are starting to come out. And this is a rural area, but they're all walking over anyway. The goddamn fire horn went off. Everyone's showing up.
Yeah.
You just look toward the sky for smoke and follow it and then go watch the fire, I guess. So they look around when they get there, and they're like, "Where's Joe and Joy?" Because they weren't Red and his wife weren't the first to get there. So they get there, and they're like, "Where's Joe and Joy? Are they around back? What's going on? Or did they take them to the hospital or something? What's somebody take them to the emergency room?" And they didn't know. So they do say that Joy's car is not in the driveway.
Oh.
So everyone's like, "Holy shit! Maybe they're not home." They're like, they went to see a family member or something. Thank fuck.
Candle fell over or some shit.
Anything could happen. You could have a bad, wiring. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
It's a 4-year-old house, so it should be up to code and everything. But still, accidents happen, and you never know. And they're just happy that, holy shit, it's better that they're not home,
right?
Than they burn to death in their beds. Christ, that's way better. So they're like, well, we got to just try to put it out and see what happens. So they said, one of them said, Joy's car's missing, and we hope they're out of town visiting relatives, but who knows at this point. So they're putting the fire out. They're in the full gear, all that kind of shit. They had to check to see if propane tanks were around the house too, or we need to watch out for projectiles or what here.
Right.
They get the fire out. Only 45 minutes to get it under control, by the way.
That's impressive.
It's a pretty good within an hour of it being called in, it's out. That's pretty good. Not bad. So they said they shut the water off, and now they're like, okay. They said, well, there's no life to protect here. It doesn't seem like it's an unoccupied structure at this point, it seems like. So let's try to see if we can salvage anything from the inside for these people, because they're all friends with them. Yeah. So they don't want to just leave shit. So if there's anything sitting there they can grab, they'll grab it for them, bring it out in the yard. So they said they were looking all around. They had to have, ladders to get into the house because the porches were burned off. As they're searching the main floor of the house, they notice something. It's a 5-foot-tall gun safe on the east side of the house, and smoke is seeping from it. It's a big upright steel gun safe.
Yeah.
And so they crack the door open and see that the smoke must have just leaked into there and leaked back out. They notice a huge collection of guns still in there. They're happy that they didn't blast it with water and fuck it all up too.
Yeah.
So they see that. They count out 27 guns are in there.
Shit.
And most of them are unharmed and still in their protective. He had them in like stocking things. Yeah, the bags. So he said, shit, I mean, they look untouched, so let's get them out of here so they don't get ruined, basically.
Yeah.
So they did. They put them all out, and he said, the guy Andy is the firefighter doing this. He said, I'm sure Mr. Pittman would appreciate us saving his guns when he gets home. Yeah. He's going to be happy at least all of his guns aren't gone. So some of the guns were hot to the touch even from the fire.
Yeah.
So he's handed them out to the firefighters. They document the number of rifles and pistols and all that sort of thing. And they put them all into one of the firefighters' trucks and get that ready. So once they're all locked away, the Andy guy said he kept staring at a small wooden section jutting out just over the gun case. It looked like a 10 by 10 piece of a loft or an attic or something like that, but it hadn't burned through and it was still attached at the top of the ceiling joints.
Oh, that's great.
So they were like, okay. And Red, the fire chief, said, I believe that's where Joe and Joy usually slept up there. Pointed to the remains of the second floor. Mm-hmm. He said they added the second floor after the house was finished, used it as a bedroom, and I think there was a small staircase there that's probably burned away now. So, yeah, they're like, okay, well, we have to go look around. Anywhere with a bed, they said you can usually tell a bed because you'll see box springs. Even if everything else burns away, you'll see box springs there. Yeah. So they said they're looking for beds that way. They always do that. So they said they got the attic ladder. They got a ladder up to the attic, and they want a light so they can see up there and just to make sure there's nothing up there. And so the Andy guy says, go up there and tell me what you see because the other guy's smaller. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right. Let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going, look good out there, and you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts, and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable, and you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, well, still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmy's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Come on, be like us. Be fashionable. Get in there with Quince. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad. Right. There's chemicals in things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, it's great. Amazing. Yeah. That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up for energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options. Nice. It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
So the other guy goes up there. He says, I don't really see anything, just a bunch of rubbish, maybe parts of a bed, but nothing else. So this Andy guy grabs a pole light, and he goes up there too and pushing his way around the rubble, just looking around. And then he says, oh, my God. And they go, what? And he says, I hope it's not what I think it is. With the blunt end of the pole, he raked away some ashes from the pile and exposed what looks like the stomach area of a human being.
In the attic?
In the attic area, the loft. He said the color and texture of the skin looked like when he deep fried a turkey.
Oh, Jesus.
So that says a lot. And the person's stomach had burst open like a fruit.
Yikes.
It was exploded, basically,
Yeah.
and you could just see around it. So he went, oh, my God, Jesus Christ. He said, fuck. Then he looked closer, and he thought he saw a second body as well. So he called up a couple other firefighters to look as well. And he said, how about you step up here and make sure I'm not crazy here? And so they did, and they said looks like 2 adult bodies are up here, charred and not looking great. So they went, oh, fuck. At that point, they said, well, now we got to call the sheriff's department, call the coroner's office, call all these people, get everybody in here, everybody we got.
Wake them all.
We got dead bodies. No one sleeps tonight type of shit. So he actually says, we haven't seen a dead body in about 15 years, so let's treat it for what it is until the authorities get here. 15 years. Yeah, it's a small town. I mean, they're not doing a lot. So they do. Now, back to Christopher. Who the fuck is this little boy? He's like,
is happening, Chris?
Right now, he's like 11 in season 1. He shows up, with these 2 hicks wearing a hospital gown asking for hamburgers. Like, that's what's happening right now.
And Eggos.
And shit, just wandering around. So he's had some trouble, not really his trouble, but his parents and his family's been a lot of trouble. Joe Dolphus and his wife Hazel didn't get along very well.
Oh,
his mom, meaning little Chris's mom, they said a family member called the relationship, quote, doomed from the beginning. So that's always
Joe Dolphus can't hold it together.
Weird, right? Joe Dolphus isn't completely together. They met in high school. Which is always a good time to have kids with somebody met in high school. Joe was a sophomore, Hazel was a freshman, and by the time Joe was a junior and Hazel was a sophomore, they had a daughter named Danielle who was in preschool. So there you go. So dad's in 11th grade, mom's in 10th grade, and I'm in the 1st grade. So yeah, he does that. He ends up graduating from high school, joining the Army. Yeah. So he joined the Army there. They end up getting married right after he joins the Army for benefits, especially for the kid. And this is only his first in a string of failed marriages that don't really work out. Their son, Christopher Frank Pittman, Chris Frank here, the boy in the woods, he was born April 9th, 1989. He's their second child. He's born in Huntsville, Alabama, because they were moving around a bit around then. That was with the Army. So very interesting. 6 weeks later, Hazel leaves Joe and goes back to Florida. So
without
leaves
the
him.
kids?
No,
Joe?
keeps the kid and leaves.
Okay. All right.
By October 1990, Hazel gave birth to another son by a different man. Yeah. And Joe was deployed as a part of Desert Storm back in the day there. He went to Iraq the first time. Hazel leaves the family while Joe's away because she had left and come back with another man's child. She then leaves the family while Joe's away, leaving all the children with her own mother, Delnora Dupree, which is a very Southern name.
That is an awesome name.
Delnora Dupree sounds like a singer, doesn't it?
She sounds French and successful.
Yeah,
is what she sounds
like a soul singer. Delnora, ladies and gentlemen, Delnora Dupree. She comes out.
Those really sexy ones that sings dirty songs sitting on a piano.
Yeah, she's definitely like sitting on a piano. Yeah, she's got like gloves on in a smoky nightclub.
Martini.
Yeah, doing some old school shit. So, like Mariah Carey's mom in the beginning of Glitter. That's who she is. That's Delnora Dupree.
Did you just tell me that you saw Glitter?
Yeah, I did it for P.S. I Hate This Movie. We fucking
right.
did it.
That makes sense.
You should watch it anyway because it's terrible. It's fucking hilarious. You want to watch Mariah Carey try to act for an hour and a half? It's amazing.
Not particularly, but now I do.
You notice in the last, it came out right now, too, because she says it was only a bomb because 9/11 happened. She said that's why the movie wasn't successful. Otherwise, it would have been a big hit. So it came out right at this time.
How
but
dare you?
The funny part is, how many things have you seen Mariah Carey act in since then? That should tell you how good of a job she did right there.
Or before then.
Yeah, because Jennifer Lopez got into movies around then, and then she's been in 8,000 movies since then. So that tells you the difference.
Mariah Carey had a very successful singing career 10 years before this.
Oh, God. Every Christmas, you're going to hear from her. She will be heard from. By the way, everyone needs to stop complaining about that. There are worse. That stupid fucking song that everybody puts memes about for the memes for 2 months before Christmas are way more annoying than hearing that song once in a while. Not only that, there's much shittier Christmas songs. Way shittier.
Yeah, I've heard that song maybe 6 times in my life.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not up your ass that much.
No.
It really isn't. Calm down. So,
I've heard way more Taylor Swift than that.
Well, we will talk about this and more at the end of our Patreon episode this week. We'll get into all the Christmas stuff. So Delnora Dupree is left with the children, and Mama Hazel here doesn't see the kids for another 10 years now.
Stop it.
10 years goes without seeing these kids again.
She has 3 babies.
Yeah, just leaves them. Done.
Oh, boy.
Dupree, this is the mother, Hazel's mother, said they had no relationship with their mother, and that was her choice. My daughter left them when they were born, basically. A rousing endorsement from your mom. Jeez, that's her own mother saying that.
Yeah.
That's not Joe's mom, not Joe Dolphus's mom.
Right. And part of that might be your fault, Delnora.
Something went wrong. I don't know who caused it, but you were there the whole time. So tell us what went wrong at least.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to have a solution, but at least give us an explanation. That's what we're asking for, Delnora. So Joe returns from the Middle East in March 1992. Joe Dolphus, this is.
Right.
And moved with the children back to Alabama, where he's stationed. He's discharged in December 1992, and he moves down with Joe, Frank, and Joy in Oxford, Florida.
Okay.
So this is Danielle Pittman. This is the Hazel and Joe Dolphus's firstborn here. She says, quote, "My father was a single parent because my mother left when I was 3, and he got help from both sides of the family, from my Nana and Pop and my grandfather, which is Joe and Joy, and then the other one. My father fought in the Persian Gulf War. He was away about 8 months. That time of life was pretty much a blur for me. I was about 4, and all I remember is that my grandparents helped raise me." Yeah, that life was a blur for me. I should have been journaling during that time, so I'd remember.
Whose 4th year is oh so vivid?
Tell me everything that happened when you were 4. You know, anyone out there right now. You know?
From birthday till
Is it a blur?
5. Go.
Pretty much a blur, right? I would describe it as pretty much. It's a blur.
A blur.
It's a blur. It's all a blur.
Danielle.
I can't even remember my 4th year, man. It's such a blur.
Did she think that
I was drinking every day, doing pills? Everybody else remembers all of their doings and leavings and starting your
Danielle.
Oh, Christ. So
You're adorable.
When I was about 4, she said, my father was strict. If we did something wrong, he would discipline us with a belt. Oh, okay.
That's what she remembers at 4.
That's
is
not
the
good.
Traumatic shit. That's all I remember is the traumatic shit.
Yeah, you remember big things when you're 4.
Right.
Oh, my God. When that happened, this person died. I remember my great-grandmother dying when I was 4. That was a big deal. Not the one who was murdered, the other one.
Okay.
She was natural causes great-grandma as opposed to murdered great-grandma. So she says he would spank us and leave a mark. Sometimes he would miss it, and it would go up and hit like our lower backs or right underneath our upper legs, but he would try to spank us on the butt with it. We had a chore list, and that would take us probably 30 to 45 minutes to do if we did them all together at the same time. So that's what you needed to do. She said Chris liked to play video games, and he played in a couple different youth baseball teams wherever he was. He'd sign up for Little League, and he was a center fielder, good at that. He was nicknamed Bug because of his love of insects.
Okay.
You're all picturing Macaulay Culkin in the
My Girl.
In My Girl. You're all picturing that right now. And so he's real thin, described as quiet, reserved, and very thin. So that's the boy they found in the woods. You know, a little boy. I guess fuck it. Picture Macaulay Culkin in fucking My Girl if you want to, if it helps.
Keep him away from bees, for heaven's sake.
He likes bugs, but hates bees. Hates them. She
They
said,
hate him.
Well, really, it's more about that, really. Well, bees hate everybody. It's just a matter of you can accept their hate or not. She says, Christopher's always been really quiet, and when I was younger, I used to get in a lot of trouble because I would try to mother him, and he had a speech problem when he was younger, and he went to speech therapy for this, and people couldn't understand what he was saying because he couldn't pronounce his syllables correctly. Jesus, he sounds like Stevie, too, from the documentary. And I would tell people what he was saying and what he was thinking, and I wouldn't let him speak for himself because I wanted to protect my baby brother, and I always did that for him. We were taught to be polite. If we didn't say, yes, ma'am, no, sir, yes, sir, then we would get into trouble. That was a respect thing, and we were taught that anybody even a year older than us would get that. We were taught to respect our elders. Yeah. That's fine, but that's also how kids get molested, too.
Right.
Respect, but also fucking take note of and fear. And there's multiple things that go into that. Yes, sir. No, sir, you can't touch my penis should be also something you need to tell them. No, sir, but don't fucking touch me, motherfucker, or I'll cut your throat. You know, it's a mix.
Yeah, it's a pretty good lesson.
I'm going to start a No, Sir, Don't Touch My Penis as the name of the group when I teach this lesson. Whatever the acronym is for that. Well, NSD TMP. That's what I'm going to start. Donate now. This year's fundraiser will have a performance by Delnora Dupree. So come on down. I think it's worth it just for that. So
thank you, sir.
Holy shit.
That's polite, and also
that's good.
You retain your dignity.
In August 2001, she goes on to say, my biological mother came back. Oh, no.
Really?
Hazel
came back.
Yep. My brother had always asked about his real mother because he didn't know her at all. Right. He always wanted his real mother, and she finally came back. She got a mobile home and was staying in that. And Christopher and I were over there every day visiting her, trying to catch up. And about a month after she had been there, she told us that she met us at the door and told us, it's just there's some pauses, we weren't allowed to get out of the car and we were never allowed to come back in the house or see her again. Their mother told them that.
Don't even bother getting out of the car.
You're not, no, honey, you're never allowed to see me again. Nope, never. No. Y'all gonna die never seeing your mama again. Bye now. Closes the trailer door. What the?
Get off my property.
Get off my land. Okay. Can you imagine that?
No.
Is that the most horrible fucking thing you've ever heard in your life?
Yes.
That's the cruelest shit out. And we've heard dads say, don't you ever look at me again or I'll beat you, boy. That's not as bad as I don't know what it is, but for a child, they're...
Mom.
I guess it's a physical connection. You popped out of them. So there has to be some kind of connection in your brain that goes to them that your mom's not supposed to tell you, go away and never come back now. Bye. Like, no.
Without any sort of like behavior that warrants it. Like you didn't steal her fucking pension. You know,
that's what I mean. This is fucking nuts. It's fucking crazy.
Go away and never come back.
Never come back now. Y'all don't come back now. You hear? Just out the door waving. Giving him a Tupperware for something to take on the road.
I need confirmation you heard. Just smile.
Tear. Wave back now. There you go. Bye.
Say yes, ma'am.
So Joe Dolphus remarried in 1992, but separated again a year later, and this would happen a couple times. He and the children would move back in with Joe Frank and Joy, and Pop, who is what Christopher calls Joe Frank, is. He's his Christopher's role model. Yeah. Joe Dolphus even says this. Joe Dolphus says, my mom and dad were really their parents. He said, Joy cooked for the family, washed the children's clothes. She drove Danielle 40 miles round trip to dance lessons in Ocala, Florida. And every morning she took Christopher to school where he went to class as she worked to be a receptionist, the mother. So the kids would play around the house, go swimming in the pool, do all that kind of shit. Christopher and Joe Frank, grandfather, are very close. So they both like hunting and fishing, and young Christopher is a sponge for Joe Frank's lessons of how to do stuff, and he loves to hear it. Definitely felt abandoned by his mother and didn't really have a great relationship with his dad. Later on, he would say, quote, I haven't had that good of a life. My real mom left when I was 2. which is
it's almost like when you have children in high school, you don't give yourself a real opportunity to be a good person.
Yeah, it's almost like when you have children with a sophomore that might not work out, right? Isn't that weird? That's strange.
It might affect the quality of life that you lead.
Just a little bit. You know what I mean? Holy fucking shit.
Might not give you the best opportunities to be a real good parent.
Just close. So Christopher in 2001, once he's told that he's not allowed to come back to mom's house anymore, he starts to have spin out a little bit. Mm-hmm. At one point, he threatens to kill himself and is hospitalized. We'll talk about that. This is his sister, says, quote, "The same day Christopher talked about running away, he came home with a bad grade and got into trouble with our father. Dad said Christopher had to buckle up on the studying and he was not going to be allowed to play his Nintendo anymore." Oh, shit. He had GoldenEye all lined up. This is 2001. Yeah. He's like, no. He said Christopher had mentioned something a few days before about running away. He said he was going to see his Nana and Pop or going and staying with them. But he did that a lot. He talked about missing them and wanted to go up and see them. I didn't think he would do it. They're the stable thing. When the kid craves, like, I want to go somewhere where there's, I know that dinner's going to be made and like the house is going to be quiet and warm and people aren't fighting and mom's not coming in and leaving and not getting hit with a belt.
Bacon, that's where I go.
I want to get hit with it. I want to wake up to the smell of bacon and their coffee they've been drinking since 5 o'clock in the morning because they're old.
I want to smell bacon and coffee at 6 a.m. and that's what I want to be woken up with. That sounds great.
No shit. So, he said he did. She said he didn't think he would do it. Danielle said every morning the alarm would go off and I would wake my brother up to get him ready for school, and then I would wake my dad up to get him up. I was in charge of waking everybody up. When I woke up the next morning and I saw Christopher was gone, I was like, oh my God, he really did it. And so I went and woke my dad up and said, Dad, Christopher's gone. Uh-huh. Dad called the police. One of the officers had said something about if we knew if he had any money. We can judge how far the cops said we can judge by how far he can get by how much bus fare he has, basically.
What dollar figures in his pocket, we'll know how far away.
And then you can go in a radius of that and figure it out. The sister said, I went and looked in my jewelry box and found out he had taken $70 from me, but I had told him that he could take it whenever he wanted to. Okay. I had change in the drawer underneath it, and that was still there. I had a jewelry box where the top lid opened, and I had the money there. That was the bills, and I had coins and stuff in a drawer right beneath it, and that was still in my jewelry box. I earned that money from babysitting I did for 4 or 5 months. Jesus Christ. 4 or 5 months of babysitting at $75? That's brutal. Christopher was found in Marion Hills at a store that had an RV and a little travel center hooked together. It looked like a truck stop and kind of there was a convenience store, and there they had a fast food restaurant in the side. It took police a day to find Christopher. He was probably 15 to 20 miles away from our house. He was playing video games when they found him. Shocking.
It's the closest place you can find with video games.
That's it. Yeah, he was 11. His Nintendo had just been taken away, and this is how he was getting caught up playing video games. Me and my dad went and got him. Our stepmother at the time, because there's another one involved now, she came over to the house to help us, and we found out that Christopher had run away. She came over there to support us and everything like that and to be there for us. Christopher was real mad, but I wasn't scared of him. I was scared he was going to hurt himself, but he never threatened to hurt me. This is when they got home. Yeah. It was in the evening, almost into the night, when Christopher came home and I talked with him. I was in the kitchen. He said he was mad at me because I didn't stick up for him when we were talking to the police officer about some of the accusations he made about against his father. Christopher said that his father was abusing him, and the sister didn't back it up. So Danielle said I was trying to protect myself because I knew I was going to be living with my father. And if he was mad at me about that, and Christopher was mad at me about that because he always depended on me to stick up for him. At this particular time, I did not stick up for him. And we got him, and my father wanted to see what he would say when he wasn't around. My father wanted to know what Christopher would say to me while he was gone. So he said he was going to the store, and he instructed me that he'd be sitting outside the window, and if I needed him to call him. Okay, so Christopher and I were in the house, and he was mad at me because I didn't stick up for him, and he was there in the kitchen, and I said something really mean to him. I don't even remember what I said, but there was a sheath hunting knife there, and he picked up the hunting knife, and he said, you know what, forget this. He was like, I would rather die than live in this house with you and Dad, and he held it up to his stomach like he was going to kill himself.
Oh, boy.
that's wild. And I screamed. I was like, he's going to kill himself. I was like, Dad, come in the house because I'm scared he's going to hurt himself. Dad came in and said, Christopher, give me the knife. Christopher just handed Dad the knife and went over and sat on the couch and crossed his arms. He was mad. He never threatened me or Dad, but he was mad at us both. I've never had any fear that he was going to come at me with the knife, but I called Dad because I was scared he'd hurt himself. So she said, my dad pretty much gave Christopher a choice. He was like, if you want to keep giving these accusations about me and everything like that, then the police could take you and put you in another home. Do you want to go live with someone else, or can you cool it and stay here with me and your sister? So he ended up not being able to cool it, and he ends up being committed to an institution, a facility for a little while. He's diagnosed with mild chronic depression. Mm-hmm. Young Christopher. I don't know. Maybe that happens when your mom comes back after 10 years and tells you to fuck off. That might happen.
I can't imagine he would have any sort of psychological problems at all.
Weird, right? Very strange. So they put him on Paxil as well at that time. After about a week, his father, Joe Dolphus, decides to take him out of the hospital and send him to South Carolina to live with Joe, Frank, and Joy. Because they're the stable ones and all that kind of thing, and they'd been raising him a lot before that. So Christopher gets there, begins to thrive. He enrolls in school, goes to church with his grandparents, talks to people, is a nice kid. Everybody says he's a nice kid. Everybody's happy. Problem is, his Paxil isn't available in Chester. Yeah. They may have stores just like the city, but they don't have pharmacies that carry everything. So the doctor, because there was, for some reason, they were paying out of pocket. There was nobody had insurance on him for some reason. So the doctor had to give them samples to try so they could have stuff, because they couldn't afford the prescription. He didn't want to make it prohibitive. So he gives them samples of Zoloft instead. Okay. The doctor does. Now they're both SSRIs, but they're different. Yeah. That's all there is to it. So right away, Christopher starts to experience some negative side effects from new medication, which happens on new medication. Yeah. His sister described him as manic around this time.
He's also a child and doesn't know how to handle the side effects of medication like that. That's dead serious medication.
Not only the side effects, also all the shit that caused him to need this medication. Right. He doesn't understand how to process any of this shit. Like he's a mess.
All being bungled.
Yeah. So he said he experienced a burning sensation all over his body, which he'd have to take like Tylenol or Advil to
don't take that
quell. You would imagine so. Well, he complained about the side effects. They took him to the doctor, and he told the doctor about all the side effects. And so the doctor took it as more of like a withdrawal from the other one than this is bad. So he upped the dosage from 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams a day. So ups the dosage there. So he'll later tell a psychiatrist that his mood changed on the medication to the extent that he felt like he didn't have any feelings. He just felt like he was dull, completely dulled. So, now the doctor who's prescribed him the medication said that when he talked to him after he had, been on the Zoloft for a little while, he described him as lots of energy, no plans to harm self, not flying off the handle at that moment. Right. So who knows? Now, he's lived with the grandparents now for a couple weeks. He's enrolled in school. He's, getting used to the Zoloft. He's doing all this shit. On the bus one day, on the school bus, he has an argument with a kid. This other kid is 8, by the way. Okay. He's 8 years old. Chris is 12. He's a much smaller kid because he's 8. So this is November 27th, 2001 this happened. Christopher starts picking on this kid, and according to another child on the bus, by the end of the ride, it's a 45-minute bus ride, Chris had pinned the 8-year-old's head against the window and was choking him using 2 fingers. Wow. I don't know why 2 fingers, but he was choking him. One of the boys on the bus said it began by him playing around, and then it got more serious. The younger boy started crying, so then the other boys tried to start breaking it up, like, hey, you're being too mean now. So when they got off the bus, Christopher told the boy who he'd been choking, if he told anyone, Christopher would kill him. He's threatened to kill an 8-year-old. The boy just said, yeah, right, whatever, kids are always saying, I'll kill you. That happens. So the next day, though, the parents of the boy who was choked reported the incident to the school. School officials called Joe, Frank, and Joy. They set up an appointment the next day to talk about this type of thing. They're talking about it all. And there's that, and then that night was the time when he's a jerk in church. They go to church, they're rehearsing for the play, and he keeps kicking one of these ladies' chairs from behind. He's kicking a chair that they're sitting in, Christopher is. So she asked him to stop, and then he kept doing it. So Joe Frank had to take him outside and talk to him and then bring him back in. Yeah. And she said upon their returning into the church that Christopher had an angry expression on his face and, all of that shit. So he got in trouble on the bus. Now he's cutting off here. But they don't discipline him the same way. Danielle said, my Nana, the only way she would discipline us, she did the same thing my grandpa did. But if we were sitting at the table and there was company there, and sometimes even if it was just Nana, Pop, Chris, and I sitting at the table, and we did something she didn't like, she would reach under the table, get the she'd pinch your thigh and give you a look. She'd pinch you and go, you stop that.
How hard, though?
Old lady pinch, who knows? I don't know. Not old, she's only 62, but we called it the evil Nana look. Like, stop doing that right now. That's everyone knows the evil mother is going to kill you look. Or mother doesn't want you to come to her trailer anymore look. Are they similar? I don't know.
I bet they're the same.
Oh, man. She said at that point we would just kind of sit up and start behaving. But when Pop disciplined us, he would sit down and he would let you know that you did something wrong. He would tell you that he didn't want you to do it again. I can honestly say that my entire life growing up with them, I cannot recall one single time Nana and Pop ever spanked us, either one of us. They never spanked us with a paddle. Pop would give us a big hug and tell us he loved us every time. I never remember any time he didn't do that. After you indicated you understood and you weren't supposed to do it again, everything was okay. So, back to the fire, now that we understand who this little boy is sitting in the police station. This is a little boy with a whole lot of fucked up things going on in his head.
He has a host of problems in his head.
A lot of problems. So they find the Pittmans' charred bodies, like I said. They have to get, later on, too, they have to pull him out with a crane thing because the structure's not sturdy enough.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. How do you get those people out of there? That's so fucked.
On one of those stretchers dangling like you're rescuing them from a mountain.
Yeah, right.
Literally, they're like, don't spin it, they were saying. Don't spin them around. So... they're discussing what the hell could have happened. And then all the firefighters back at the fire are like, where the fuck is their grandson? Their grandson's supposed to be with them. Is he in the house burnt up? Is he at a friend's house? Did he go back with his dad? Let's hope so. Or they said that maybe he's so small that maybe he was in a hot part of the fire and he's just like buried deep in ashes somewhere.
Or gone entirely.
Just poof, disintegrated. So they said there's nothing they could do except wait for the cops. That's all they could do.
Yeah.
So Andy Martin here, one of the firemen, the guy who found all these people, found the Joy and Joe Frank, pulls some money out of his jacket pocket and says, well, we got to wait for the cops. Nothing we can do now. So he says, gives one of the people hanging out a bunch of money, and he says, go to Hardee's and, quote, bring us a whole bunch of biscuits, as many as you can buy.
Get a mess of biscuits.
He said, then go back to the fire station, get pots of coffee, and bring it back up here. He said, we're going to be here for a while until everybody comes in, so let's keep ourselves comfortable. It's the South. We can't do nothing for a few hours without biscuits, right? Get biscuits. We'll be here a little while.
Biscuits and coffee, please.
Biscuits and coffee. So the investigator here comes in, Major James Mac McNeil. So Mac McNeil here, he comes in. He's the first one to respond. He works for, CCSD, which is the investigation branch here. Mm-hmm. He comes in, and they said, well, the firemen told us we had two bodies inside a burning residence, and we got to call the sheriff and all that kind of shit. They're calling all those people, and they're initiating searches around the house, too, looking for anything kind of evidence they can find around there. They already called Joe Pittman Jr., Joe Dolphus, and said, your parents are dead, your son is missing, the house is burnt down. That's a nice call to get at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Hey, just want to let you know, parents dead, 12-year-old, we have no clue. Could be burnt to a fucking cinder inside, or could be missing somewhere and maybe kidnapped. We don't know.
your parents are dead, and if you're wondering where your boy is, he's definitely not at the house because it's not there either.
It's not there, yeah. No shit. Now, as the investigators are walking around the house, they asked to speak with Andy Martin. He's the assistant chief fire guy and the biscuit wrangler. He's the one who wanted biscuits. He said during all this, a number of guns had been taken out from the top and sides of the gun cabinet near the staircase. And this is the investigators looking. He goes, what else was in this case around here? And he said, oh, we tried to salvage the guns. And the investigator says, why would you do that? What are you talking about? Why would you do that? That's stupid. You don't disturb a crime scene. And he said, it wasn't like we found the bodies, then cleared the guns out. The gun safe was already open. We saw it open and knew everything in it would get ruined. At that point, we didn't know they were dead up there.
Right,
so
there
was no
crime scene.
Yeah. He said there was no life to protect. We were just trying to save some of the guy's property. Mm-hmm. And they said, has anyone issued a search warrant and executed it to obtain entrance into the dwelling? And Andy said, I didn't think a fireman had to stop and get a search warrant before he entered a man's house to put out a fire.
Right.
Which, that would be terrible. We're waiting on a judge right now. I know it's hot. I know it, but he ain't waking up. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, shit, I caught the neighbor. If this constable doesn't get here fast, we're going to have 3 of these.
It's up. Yep, that's the third one. That's the third one. So the Williams informed him that it was required, especially when they had removed some property from the dwelling. And Andy said, I don't know about all those technicalities. I'm just a volunteer fireman. I'm just trying to put a fire out. Sorry, Jesus Christ. So then they're getting angry at each other. And they said, they tried to separate the guys and say, hey, calm down. So they lift the bodies out with a crane. They lay them out on a tarp before the investigators in the front yard. Photos are taken, bodies examined. Joe Frank was lying on the bed, face up, his legs hanging off the side of the bed. Like he either fell onto the bed or was about to get up from the bed. The smaller extremities of his body had been burned away. No fingers or anything like that. That's all gone. There's just a trunk, basically. They said his body received a lot more fire damage than Joy's because they said he was probably closer to the main body of the fire than Joy was, is all it was. Joy was found on the other side of the bed, laying face down with her head lowered in the prone position. The back of her head had a large gaping hole in it.
Oh, boy.
Now, they said that the heat of a fire often causes the brain to swell, and eventually the skull cracks, but they weren't sure if it pops. They were like, have you seen it pop like that before? How hot would that have to be? So while they're being examined, they also noticed that one of the investigators noticed that they had blood on them. Huh. They're like, that's weird. Why would that happen? He said in his 30-plus years of investigation, he saw a lot of bodies with blood, and all the bodies that he's seen after a fire with blood on them, there had been foul play beforehand.
Right.
You don't burst into flames and bleed all over yourself, and dead people don't bleed. So that's the other thing. It's strange. So they also discovered that there were a lot of shotgun shells in the yard near the woodshed. One investigator said that, it was a lot of evidence to pick up. They're running around. It's a big property. CSI comes in now. Fucking crime scene investigation unit. They come in and they did a walkthrough again, see if anything had been overlooked. They locate a number, like we said, a number of spent 410 shotgun shells and a fired cartridge case found on the ground near the house of the motorhome. A box of the shotgun shells were also found on a drum near the woodshed. All the items are labeled and photographed and all that kind of thing. They noticed Joe Pittman's unlocked utility shed, and they said, did Pittman normally leave this building unlocked? And Red Weir, the fire chief, said never. Even when his wife called him in to come eat lunch, he would lock it before he left. They said, why is that unlocked? That's weird. So after they review everything, the investigators believe the fire was deliberately set, which is what the kid said. Based on his training here, he said that it was a slow, built-up fire, definitely not an accelerated one. It had originated somewhere near and on the second floor loft area. And after it had been started, it first burned upward and consumed the roof, then started burning downward toward the first floor. So there's all of that shit. Now, back to the boy, all right? They see spent shotgun shells, all this kind of shit. After talking with the hunters, they're looking at the boy, and they're like, he's wearing hunting gear. They said he didn't appear to be very upset to them, even though he just said, I was kidnapped and my grandparents were killed and our house got burned down.
You'd be in a panic, right?
I would imagine. So they said, son, we've got 2 guys outside this building who are very upset and concerned about you. We're trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. We want to know if you can help us out. So Christopher sat on the couch there, and this is what he said, quote, I was at home during the nighttime. I heard someone come in the house. I slipped out the back door and was hiding. I heard 2 gunshots up in my grandparents' room, and that's when a black male came out and found me. This black guy burned down my parents' house, then forced me to get in the car with him. That's how he ended up in the woods. The black man took me against my will. They said, where do you live? Chester, South Carolina, with my grandparents. Last night I heard 2 gunshots. He goes on it again. They said he then said, after I heard the gunshots, the black guy then came outside and poured gas around the house. He burned it that way. So the guy said, they poured gas. He poured gas on the house itself. And Christopher said, no, he just walked around the house and poured the gasoline on the ground. Then he set it afire and the house burned down. They said, so this black guy takes you in the car and brings you up here. And he said, yes, sir. They said, and he had guns and that he had stolen from your grandparents' house? Yes, sir. And he drives up to the hunting lodge where he holds you all night. Yes, sir, that's right, Christopher says. So they move in closer and said, now tell me how you got away. How'd you get away from the guy?
Right.
So Christopher said, quote, this black guy got out to use the bathroom, and when he did, I took off running. He'd give him a nickname by now, I feel like, if he's going to keep mentioning him. Just this black guy sounds really weird. Yeah. This black guy got out to use the bathroom, and when he did, I took off running. He said when he saw me running, he yelled out, you can't go anywhere, then shot at me once. Uh-huh. So he said, well, what did he do then? What did you do then? And Christopher said, I got his keys, and I threw them into the woods. I threw them keys into the woods. I just kept running on through the woods.
Yeah.
So he said, So the investigator's talking about it, and he's thinking about it, and he's like, that's a weird story. It's a weird event, but I mean, wow, what a harrowing fucking night.
Happened.
What a harrowing night, man. So, yeah, they bring him in. They're setting up, and they go, well, fuck, set up a manhunt. So they set up a whole huge thing. I mean, bloodhounds are being sent out through the woods, helicopters, bloodhounds, teams of fucking the sheriff emergency response team, the local sled unit, everybody they can get, everything looking for a guy here. Said we've also got our team of tracking bloodhounds. We'll take them first to the car and then go from there to get the scent. So they said they considered the kidnapping of a 12-year-old and a double homicide and arson a pretty major event in this area. So
that makes that man very dangerous. Yeah.
No expenses spared here. Nothing is it's too expensive while it's open. So investigator comes in, one of the criminal investigators, and he sits down with Chris and he says, Christopher, I'm sorry you've had to go through all this, but I need you to help me find the guy that kidnapped you. And he said, can you give me a description of the guy who kidnapped you? Maybe what he looked like, what type of clothing he was wearing, so we know who and what we're looking for. Christopher said, all I can remember is that he was a black guy.
That's not helpful, Chris.
He said about 6'2", but I don't know anything about his clothing. He said, could you tell me the last place you saw him? And he shrugged and said, in my grandma's SUV. So, yeah, they're talking about all this, and so they go back out. They let him fall asleep for a little while in there. They wake him up, and, They have a woman investigator to talk to him. And she said, my name's Lucinda. You can call me Lucy. All that kind of shit. She said, I just came from Chester County, and because you're such an important person, I need to talk with you about what happened to your grandparents. So he's looking back. Christopher's very calm and polite, calls her Lucy, whatever, all that kind of shit. So she also says that, when was the last time you shot a gun? As she swabs his hands for gunshot residue.
Please say 20 minutes ago.
He said, I think it was yesterday. And he said, I was target practicing with my grandfather. We were shooting at Pepsi bottles, the green ones. He means Sprite, but yeah, that's what they were shooting at. So they said, okay, and they found bottles and shells, so that all made sense. So they said, can you tell me exactly what happened that day? And he said, well, me and my grandfather were target practicing. It was about 4 o'clock yesterday. We were in the back of the house over the creek at the end of the property. We were in the condo. Granddad calls it a condo. It's like a tree house kind of, but it's really a hunting tree stand. We were shooting at Coca-Cola bottles. Jesus Christ, kid. They were greenish kind, like a Sprite bottle, but it didn't have a label. We shot for about 30 minutes. We were squirrel hunting, but I couldn't hit anything, so Granddad said I needed a little more practice, so we shot at the bottle. What happened next? We got back on the four-wheeler and rode back to the house. Then we went to Pizza Hut at 5 o'clock.
Oh, that's nice.
Have a nice sit-down Pizza Hut. Then we went to choir practice. We got home a little after 7 o'clock, or maybe a little after that. My grandmother was talking at church. We got in about 7:10 probably. I didn't get on the computer until 8 o'clock. I guess that time because I had a school project. I had to do that nasty homework. Nasty homework. I had to write a letter. We had to write about the poem we had read. It's called I'm Nobody. It's about a lady who stayed in her room for 26 years until she died of old age. That period was back in 18-something. And she goes, that's great, Chris. Can we... I know I wanted all the details, but maybe less details,
You're going
Chris.
a little harder than I want, Chris.
Yeah. She said, you're doing fine, but I need you to slow down so I can catch up with her, because he's just going real fast, moving. And he said, quote, I'm on Zoloft. That makes me real sleepy. The doctor put me on it. I went to bed at 9 o'clock. I usually go to bed at 8 or 8:30. It was about 11:30. I heard footsteps on the porch outside. I went into the bathroom. There's 2 doors. You can get in from my bedroom or the kitchen. When I was in the bathroom, I saw him come in the back door. I couldn't see him good at first. I heard my shotgun rattle. It was on the sofa. I didn't have room for it in the safe. I wasn't going to put it up till the next morning. I usually keep it in the cabinet by the gun safe. I had a box of my shotgun shells by the gun on the couch. I ran out of the house and went inside. I hid behind the four-wheeler trailer. I heard somebody, or went outside, not inside, hid behind the four-wheeler trailer. I heard somebody yelling, but I couldn't tell what they were saying. I heard 4 gunshots. It didn't sound like a high-powered rifle, sounded more like a shotgun, and I started crying. So she felt bad for him, the investigator. She expected him to cry, but he didn't cry.
What?
Now she expected him to start crying. Yeah. So he continued. Then I stayed outside for a little bit, but the black guy came out. I don't know what he looked like. It was dark. Jesus Christ. He saw me. This is just a mess. He saw me and walked over to me. He pointed a shotgun at me. He said, do you have any transportation? I said, yes, my grandpa's truck. He said, go get the keys. The keys were in the kitchen. He walked around for a minute and said, what is in there? I said, my grandfather's guns. The black guy started grabbing guns and ammunition. We went down to the truck. On our way to the truck, we grabbed a gas can for my four-wheeler. We got in the truck. My dog, Christy, was growling at him. I was sitting in the passenger seat. We just drove until we got there. He forgets to mention the dog came with them,
Right.
Which is weird. What kidnapper wants to bring a fucking angry dog with them?
The dog hates me. Put it in the car with us.
It's so weird. I'm taking everything. I don't care.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment. And Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity. And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep shoppers coming back with personalized experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge. In fact, it's proven, based on a report from EY, businesses on Shopify POS see real results, like 22% better total cost of ownership and benefits, equivalent to an 8.9% uplift in sales on average relative to the market set surveyed. Want more? Check out at shopify.com/Wondery. All lowercase, and learn how to create the best retail experiences without complexity. Shopify.com/Wondery.
So he said we slept some on the road. It looked like a place where people go dump their trash. There were knocked down trees and stuff. I slept. I don't know if he slept or not. So they said, okay, this black guy that kidnapped you. So what'd you do then? This black guy has you kidnapped. Now what? He says, when I woke up, we started hitting bumps and stuff. We were at the hunting place. We drove all the way down and got stuck. He got out and was looking at the tires. I got out and ran. He shot at me once. I got a little further, and he shot at me again. He didn't say anything. I think he put the gun back in the truck when he threw the keys. I don't know if he had any more guns with him. Then what happened? I followed down the creek a little bit. Then I went back to the truck. I got my .45 and some bullets and got some money he took from my grandparents. I started walking, trying to find the main road. That's when I saw the man in the deer stand, and the hunter saw my dog. I got a glimpse of the dog, but I didn't know how my dog followed me here. So they said, okay, the investigator says, sometimes I have a hard time understanding things. Just so I can get my mind around what happened, can you draw me a map of your grandparents' house? He said, sure. Draws it out. This is where the loft was. My grandparents slept there. He said, that's the gun cabinet, the back door. He labeled everything, all that kind of shit. Signs and dates as drawing. They said, and would you draw that place you told me earlier that you hid from the black guy? I want to make sure I understand it correctly. So he drew a thing, side of the house, hid here, four-wheeler, drew a little four-wheeler. He even wrote, right there is where I hid from the black guy, up above and below the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
So he said, this is where I was hiding from this man that kidnapped me and killed my grandparents. So he sits back. So they're out looking, like I said, canine teams. They go to the vehicle. They go in the woods. The only scents they sniff out were the two hunters and Christopher. That's all the dog can pick up. So they're like...
Not even piss?
Not piss, nothing. That's all they're picking up. All they're picking up is those two guys and Christopher. Nobody else.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, that's... The dog says there wasn't a fourth guy in these woods. They're like, that's weird. They search the Pathfinder. They discover that the first thing they notice about the inside of the vehicle is that the floorboard gear shift was in the reverse position and the driver's seat was pulled all the way up to the front.
I was just going to ask
how far up the seat was.
Position? Yeah. Is it real high and real forward?
Is it where a guy who's 6'2" would sit when
Right.
they drove? I can tell you right now, in a Pathfinder, if you're 6'2", that position is all the way back as far as it goes. Because at 6'4", I can't fit in a fucking Pathfinder from back then.
Yeah,
so
at 5'8",
6'2" is
that
back.
seat's pretty far back. So
It's back. Yeah. So they were like, that's weird. It was pulled up so far it was almost touching the steering wheel. So the cops were like, who the fuck was driving this? This is crazy. So they're talking about this, and they're looking in the car more. On the floorboard, there's a 5-gallon container of gasoline, half full. The back seat of the SUV has been laid down. You can put the seat down, and a number of firearms are there. They were like, Jesus Christ. So they saw the pump shotgun back there in the back seat of the vehicle, the 410, which was what they had before. They said since spent shells for a similar gun had been found, they thought maybe there'd be a connection there, so they pulled it out of the vehicle to make sure they held it. They found a list of weapons in the SUV: a Ruger 22 rifle, a box of 45 caliber ammunition, a box of 22 short ammunition, an old timer's knife and sheath, I think that's the brand, a box of 410 ammunition, and another box of 45 caliber ammunition. So they're like, holy shit, this is wild. I mean, were they trying to overthrow Batista and take over Cuba? Like, what the fuck is this? So they're like, this is wild. It doesn't look like I don't get it. So McNeil, old Mac McNeil, says, I don't care. This boy's been telling the truth. I'll know a lot more after they process the car. But so far, his story isn't checking out. But until we have further evidence, we still treat him as a victim, even though this is looking weird. So, wow. Okay. They called, oh, yeah, I told you that too. They called his father, all that sort of thing. Okay. So, yikes. Interrogation continues. Chris is watching TV.
Yeah.
He's watching TV. They have him in a room with a TV. So they come in and they said, Christopher, will you hand me that remote? We need to have an adult talk, so please sit down.
Yeah.
So he was
American
like,
Idol.
Yeah, what the fuck? He's actually watching Walker, Texas Ranger, we find out later.
Is that right?
That's what he's watching. Well, he hangs out with his grandparents.
Yeah.
That's probably what they watch. So McKellar, this is the interviewer, puts it down to its lowest that goes, the TV, turns to Christopher and says, I have a lot of questions I need to ask you, but before I ask you those, I need to go through a form with you, and then reads him his Miranda rights.
Oh.
Yeah. So he said, do you understand all your rights before I start asking you? He says, he sits up, looks, they said, do you understand? And he said, I don't want my father, I don't want a lawyer, I don't want nobody. That's what he said. And they said, Christopher, do you know how important a lawyer is? He says, I don't care. I said I don't want one. I said I don't want one. Damn it. Yeah. I don't want more broccoli or a lawyer. Leave me alone.
Walker just read those same rights to a man on TV. I'm fine.
Yeah, I just heard him. Chuck just told me. So he said that he didn't. They said anytime you don't want to answer questions, you can stop and get a lawyer and all that shit. The review, the reviewing the rights. So they introduced another agent. And this agent says, do you think your grandparents would want you to tell the truth? And he said, yes. And they said, okay, there we go. That's good. We got a yes out of them. So they're asking all this type of shit. They're going through little stuff. And then he goes, there's a few things we need to clear up, Christopher. Yeah. What do you think so? He said, first, we've had a helicopter up in the air over a hunting club for some time, and the dog team's been on the ground looking for your suspect, but they haven't found anyone. Secondly, there's some issues dealing with your grandparents' vehicle. The seat was pulled up to match someone of more of your stature as opposed to this 6'2" black male you said kidnapped you. And thirdly, it's highly unusual that someone would kidnap both you and your dog, which again, that's what I said. That's true. So Christopher didn't say shit. So then he says, the investigator says, why don't you go ahead and tell me the truth about what happened that night? Yeah. And Christopher shrugged. And this guy said, okay, you want to shrug? And he just keeps kind of staring at him. And as he's staring at him, the other investigator said Christopher's arms fell limply by his side. It looked like he just took all the, when a kid just gives up?
Yeah.
Fine, and does that. That's what Christopher did. And he said, quote, I called my grandparents yesterday to come to the school. I called them because the vice principal said he wanted to talk to them. Call him your fucking self then, vice principal. I don't get paid to be here. Fuck do I look like? Your secretary?
You're going to have me snitch on myself? Go fuck yourself.
Because the day before, that boy on the school bus said I choked him. It was about 1 o'clock or something. The vice principal talked to my grandparents. He wanted to know why I choked the boy on the bus. Because he was messing with me. That's why. He told my grandparents to take me home. And then what happened? Okay, he goes on. We got home about 2:30 or about 2 o'clock or 2:30. We talked for about an hour. They told me they were going to lock me in my room. They locked me in there, and after we talked until about 11:30. My grandpa said if I came out, he's going to beat me with the paddle. I came out at about 10 o'clock or something. I was going to get something to drink. My granddaddy got the paddle. I tried to get my shotgun. He hit me on my back and my butt. Then he said if I came out anymore, he would hit me across the head with it. He had beat me back into the room. He hit me 5 or 6 times. The paddle is what my dad used to hit me with, which now it's the belt is what he hit him with, actually. So they said, well, what'd you do next? He said, when they went to bed, I waited about 10 minutes. I got the shotgun out of the cabinet. I took it in my room and loaded it. I took a box of shells from the cabinet. I just put 3 in. Jacked one and put another in. I put 3 in it. Jacked one and put another in. I went to their room. I just aimed at the bed. I shot 4 times. I turned the light on. I didn't really care then. My granddad's feet were hanging over the bed. My granddad's face was to the side. My grandmother was facing the closet. Her legs were in the bed. I didn't care then. I picked up the shell casings. I threw them in the door of my room. He picked up the shell casings like a Gambino family member.
Yeah.
Then I got some candles from my bathroom closet. I got about 3. I lit them. I put one under my bed, one on my floor, put the other one in the living room on the floor. Then I got some guns. I got a Ruger 22 from the gun safe. I got a 410 out of the closet safe, a gun closet safe. That I had it laid on the sofa. I got 2 22 rifles and my 45. I loaded up my dog, Christy, and I put him in the passenger seat. I got the gas from the side of the woodshed. I put the gas can in the floorboard. It's red. It was about half full. I was going to stick a rag in it and blow it up. The car. That was the point of that. I backed out where the black Pathfinder was. I turned on the lights. I got the keys from the side of the washing machine. I got $33 out of my grandmother's purse. It was in the dining room. I got some rolled coins from on top of the gun cabinet. I drove about 30 minutes. I stopped in Union. He didn't. He actually drove to Gaffney, not Union. He said it was this old trail that goes to an open place. I slept until about 5:30 in the morning. Then I drove to where the truck is now. I stayed there and slept until about 6 o'clock. Then I went a little further and got stuck. I got out and closed the door, went to the passenger side. I let my dog out. I got the 45 rifle. I shut the door. I loaded it outside the truck. I put 3 in. There was an empty shell in the chamber. I didn't feel like taking it out. I told my dog to stay by the truck. I loaded the truck. I locked the truck. I buried the keys in the back of the truck under some pine straw. I shot at the squirrel with my 22. I shot it at once. Where'd you go then? Then I was just walking and that guy saw me. Then I started yelling for help. I told him a black guy was shooting at me. I told him a black guy killed my grandparents. They said, yeah, this is a lot. Didn't expect that, did you, everybody? That's a turn. That's a fucking harrowing tale of horror. It gets worse, though. It gets worse. They said, are you sorry for what you've done? And he said, no, I'm not sorry. They deserved it.
What?
He said, they hit me with the paddle. My daddy used to beat me with the paddle. My daddy used to beat me with that paddle. I stayed with my grandparents and they lived in when they lived in Florida. I stayed with them 6 years when my dad was in the military. I don't know if I would do it again. Everybody hates me. I'm useless. My dad sits there while me and my sister do the chores. He's free firing. He's just free firing shit off.
You don't get sympathy now, though.
Yeah. No. So they told him, breathe, take a couple deep breaths. You're literally just saying anything that pops into your fucking scattered mind. He said, explain it better. He said, the house was on fire when I left. I put paper around the candle by my bed. I put paper around the one in the living room. I poured cigarette lighter refiller in my bedroom by the fire. I went out to the back door. I didn't lock the door. He said, well, why'd you make up a story about the black man? He said, I made up the story about the black man because if I get in trouble, you're going to send me back to my dad. I'm just going to run away again. I hate my dad. I ran 15 miles before they found me. Talking about the first time. My grandparents beat me once while I was here. None of that explains why you killed them, though.
It doesn't justify any of this.
No. They said, do you remember the shell you used in the 410 shotgun? Yes, the 410 shell was a number 6 shell, about 10 pellets, 2-inch shell. So he knew he had everything down. I mean, he's got all the facts. He knew right where his grandfather's feet were and all that kind of shit. So, they write it all out. And then after he signs his confession, they let him lay on the floor to watch Walker, Texas Ranger until he falls asleep.
Climb on down there now. Watch a show. Watch the stories.
Like a child.
Here's some chicken nuggets.
So they come out and they go, well, he confessed to killing his grandparents. Everyone's like, the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
Stop it.
Holy shit. They thought at most maybe he had like an older friend, like a 16-year-old kid he met that wanted to rob the grave. They thought maybe that. They didn't think this kid went around and did this shit. They're like, wow. So it's crazy. So their neighbors are all shocked. One of their neighbors, the guy who called 911, said the family, they were good people. You hardly ever hear of something like that happening out here. This is a quiet place.
It's a terrible thing to happen anywhere.
That is fucking horrific, absolutely horrific. All the church people have a nice funeral for them and, lay them to rest and say nice things about them. And no one's got a bad thing to say about either one of these people. And not just because they're dead, because they were actually decent people.
Right.
So they're sending Christopher. Christopher's got to see psychiatrists and all sorts of shit. They got to figure out what's going on.
He's so fucked. Between the ears, that kid is a mess right now.
He's got to be a mess. He said he remembered everything about that night when he killed his grandparents. He tells the psychiatrist, the blood, the shotgun blast, the voices urging him on. Now he says there was voices telling him to do it. He said even the smoke detectors he remembers hearing as he drove away. He said something kept telling me to do it. Something kept telling him to do it. So the state psychiatrist here, for the psychiatrist for the state, I should say, Dr. Pamela Crawford, she said that he provided, meaning Christopher, no non-psychotic reasons for killing his grandparents. Like, anything that would make sense. Non-psychotic. Not just, I feel like killing right now.
He had nothing outside of the psychotic realm.
In other words, no good reasons is what that is. Setting fire, taking the money. Following detention by police, Christopher made self-protective statements to avoid arrest after admitting his actions. And in his mind, I didn't want to tell. He said, I told you it was a black guy because if you knew it was me, you'd send me back with my dad, and I don't want to live there. He has no idea what, like...
That doesn't get that's not where you go after this.
But when you're 12, you don't realize that because in your mind, you're a little kid. You know what I'm saying? And 2 years ago, you're a baby. So it's crazy.
Unless, the last few years have just been a blur.
Yeah, no shit. So they, fuck, man, they're talking about all this. Now, there are laws on juveniles and all this sort of thing. And, The problem with this shit is that they said that, like, they're thinking about, they're like, well, we got to charge him if he killed these people. Do we try him as an adult or not?
He's 12?
He's 12.
No.
Which is certainly not an adult in any stretch of the imagination. The fact that he said, you're going to have to send me back with my dad and he's mean to me tells you right there he's not an adult. He thinks I'll just watch Walker, Texas Ranger till this is over.
He thought what do you think he thought? Like, where do you go now? And he doesn't know.
I don't know. Yeah, he has no fucking idea.
Well, I told you what happened, so I guess I'll sit here and watch WTR till Dad gets here to pick me up.
That's what it is. Now, they do say, though, that he should have had someone with a previous appeal on interrogating a child said that, quote, that which would leave a man cold and unimpressed can overawe a lad in his early teens. He's not even in his early teens.
No.
We cannot believe that a lad of tender years is a match for the police in such a contest. He needs counsel and support if he's not to become the victim of first fear, then panic. He needs someone on whom to lean, lest the overpowering presence of the law, as he knows it, may not crush him. That's from a U.S. Supreme Court decision. Saying you got to have somebody with a kid when you question him. So they said a juvenile cannot be compared with an adult in full possession of his senses and knowledgeable of the consequences of his admissions. He would have no way of knowing what the consequences of his confession were without advice as to his rights from someone concerned with securing him those rights and without the aid of more mature judgment as to the steps he should take in the predicament in which he's found himself. So all of this makes sense. This decision was about a 14-year-old, by the way, that I'm reading now. Oh. They said, without some adult protection against this inequality, a 14-year-old boy would not be able to know, let alone assert such constitutional rights as he had. To allow this, so there you go. So that's after a 14-year-old. So they decide.
Kid is so much younger.
He's so much younger and also not very mature for a 12-year-old is the other thing. So they said they're considering it, though. The ultimate decision will be up to a family court judge. If he's found guilty as a juvenile, he could be free in 9 years, is how it works.
Okay, I don't like that either.
Don't like that either. But if he's tried as an adult, he won't be able to face the death penalty because he's young. South Carolina did put, in 1944, they killed a 14-year-old. They put a 14-year-old to death in 1944. Not in fucking 1744, in 1944.
Yeah.
We were winning the fucking war, and we're like, let's kill a child. What do you say? Strang him up. So there is no minimum age for capital punishment here, like on the books, like they have to be this age or above. But a Supreme Court ruling in 1988 prohibited the death penalty for anybody under 16. So South Carolina also sets no minimum age for trying defendants as an adult. They said pretty much a lot of the prosecutors will say anybody over 7 is prosecutable as an adult.
That's
I mean, don't use the word adult. Don't use a different word.
Right.
Use an enhanced
we deemed what an adult is.
Yeah, we know what an adult is, and it's never an 8-year-old.
Never.
Never. Never. It's never an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
It just isn't. Anything that 8-year-old... Yeah.
There's never been an 8-year-old that served in the military. There's never been...
Can't sign a contract. Can't serve in the military. If you, have a sexual relationship with that 8-year-old, you'll surely be in prison having terrible things done to you, and you'll deserve it. That 8-year-old's not an adult. They're a very small child who
There's not an 8-year-old walking into a board meeting with a thermos full of coffee. It's not an adult.
If your kid wakes up on Easter and says, "Did the bunny come?" They're not an adult. Can we say that right away? Can that be right across the board? Just make it easy for everyone.
If you lose a tooth and get excited about what's coming,
and not sad about your dental bills, you're not an adult. Jesus fucking Christ. So he posts bond. They let him out, $175,000 bond, and he's going to be out for his whole trial. He'll be restricted to house arrest and electronic monitoring. During lunch breaks, he'll remain in sheriff's office custody, and in the evening, he'll stay in the town Isle of Palms with family. Oh, they rented a place there. Okay, so he's going to stay with his family and not leave. Now, trial, 2005.
Oh, God.
He's tried as an adult.
Stop it.
He's being tried as an adult. Now, the prosecution is happy to wait a couple years on this because this happened in 2001. It's now 2005. Kids,
the longer you wait, the maturity that's happening every day.
The longer you wait, the worse the jury feels about sentencing a kid or saying a kid. If he's 12, you bring a 12-year-old in, they're going to go, "Oh my God, he weighs 90 pounds. Look at this. I'm not fucking convicting this kid. This is crazy." Whereas if you bring a 16-year-old in, you're like, "Oh, I'm afraid of him in the mall parking lot."
Yeah.
Fair enough.
This fucking punk.
Yeah. So what is his defense besides "I'm a child," which is an obvious one?
Yeah.
No, his defense is the Zoloft defense.
Okay.
This is kind of where this became a national thing here. Yeah. It's involuntary intoxication is his defense. Now, the Pfizer, who makes Zoloft, denied that the drug caused delusions, hallucinations, or triggers violence, but says does make you'll have more suicidal ideations was what they came up with in the research there, but not out to other people.
Yeah, you don't lash out and hurt others generally.
Generally, they said studies emerged in 2000 showing a possible link between hallucinations and aggression in children and teens taking Zoloft and Paxil, not in adults, and Prozac. They said that, they need to check that and do all that. The reports, though, mostly linked to suicidal, not homicidal behavior. However, an attempt to link the drugs to violence against others is kind of, it happens because the parents of one of the Columbine school shooters unsuccessfully sued the makers of Paxil, and arguing that it was at least in part responsible for the homicidal acts of their son. So that's what they said. Now, fucking strange. So in 2004, the FBI heard testimony from members of the public, the drug industry, or FDA, not FBI, and medical profession regarding the use of Zoloft in children. And a lot of parents were speaking out against Zoloft in children, including Joe Dolphus, who was there saying this did that. What it did is the FDA stopped short of making a finding that the drugs did cause the complained of side effects, but did urge the makers of the drugs to put a so-called black box warning on the packages, advising doctors and parents to look out for signs of aggression, anxiety, agitation in children and teens taking those medications. So
did that happen?
Don't know. We don't know.
I mean, when you get it prescribed, doctors will tell you if you start feeling this or this or this, immediately call or discontinue
They didn't know.
use.
At that in 2001, they didn't tell you that, so they didn't know. The grandparents would have probably said, well, he just choked an 8-year-old against the bus window. I think it might be time to cut it off, but they didn't know. Now, the prosecutor said that they didn't think the Zoloft defense was viable. They said, I really think that was just a smokescreen. He just happened to be on an antidepressant when this happened. Wow. I don't know. So they read his confession in court, everything I told you. One of them was, I took everything out on my grandparents, who I loved so very much. When I was lying in bed that night, I couldn't sleep because my voice in my head kept echoing through my mind, telling me to kill them. Through the whole thing, it was like watching your favorite TV show. You know it's going to happen, but you can't do anything to stop it. That's what his confession said.
You know, he might just be too young to know that the voice in his head is a thought, and the drug is encouraging the thoughts. That's what it is. It's not.
He hasn't figured it all out yet.
Right. He doesn't have voices, right?
No. He's that we know of. No.
Right.
No. I mean, he was only on antidepressants, not even for a year. So I mean, he hasn't figured out how to do it yet. So I don't think so.
He suffers from mom saying, "Get the fuck out of here." That's what he suffers from.
Fuck yeah. That's in court they talk about how he'd been whipped with a belt. His dad made him run down the street or do push-ups as punishment. Army shit. Okay. His dad was in the Army. His sister said that the father did use the belt, but only on their behinds. He said that the doctors say that Christopher was angry because his mother abandoned him, and he became angry and uncontrollable as an adolescent, and all that kind of shit. So on Christopher's first visit to the psychiatrist on November 5th, 2001, the doctor talked with Dr. Nauman, talked with Christopher and his grandmother about running away from home. That was the last time, and treatment when he was in the hospital there. He was assessed and diagnosed with low-grade depression, and that's when he got Paxil. But then later on, he was switched to Zoloft.
Because they couldn't afford the Paxil, right?
Well, yeah, they said, well, no. The doctor said they just didn't have it in Chester.
Got it. Wasn't in stock. Got it.
He said, I told Joy, Mrs. Pittman, I don't have any Paxil, but I'm going to give you another antidepressant that will work just as good. I want Christopher on 20 milligrams the first 7 days, then increase to 50 on the second and third weeks. They said that the color change of the color of the pills changed with the strength, so they shouldn't have any problems determining which one was 25 and which one was 50. Right. He asked for Christopher to return in 3 weeks and was told, in 3 weeks, and there you go. And I'd like to take another look at you, see how you're doing after the, initial deal there. Gave him the samples because he didn't want to make him pay out of pocket for that shit, which is nice. So they said people who knew Christopher well said they could see a big change in his demeanor once he started taking medication. It was as if he turned like a different person. Right. They said, quote, this is the reverend at the church that they all went to, Reverend Snellgrove. He's also one of the firemen who put the fire out.
Jesus God.
Everybody does everything in this town. Christopher was always well-rounded and well-liked. He was a normal and carefree of a little boy as there was, but when he came to live with his grandparents, it was clear the boy had changed from prior visits. He'd become withdrawn and depressed. It was a noticeable difference that everybody could see. That also happens when you're a teenager, when you're 11, 12, and you start hitting puberty. You're like, leave me alone.
And
my dick's hard and I don't like it.
And the rejection from his mom and the contentious relationship from his dad. He's got so many things happening. He just needs 3 years to get through this.
Brutal. Yeah. It's wild. So here's Danielle said, I saw Christopher at Thanksgiving. I was at my house with my father. Nana and Pop and Christopher were there too. They came down on Thanksgiving, which was on a Thursday. It usually is. You could have left that out. We get it. Right?
Wow.
We all would have got that, I think.
And she's the older sister. Fascinating.
Yeah. And she's not dumb at all from her talking. I don't know. That was just a brain fart, I guess, there to say that in court. And they stayed until Saturday. My grandmother said she had an appointment for Christopher that Monday with the doctor, and she had to get him back for that, which was coming up. I begged them to stay longer because I missed my brother and he missed me.
No, you don't get it. We got to get him there now.
No, he needs a doctor. I remember telling someone that that was the happiest Christopher had been in some time. I remember he was weird, but at least he was happy.
Huh.
That's he's on antidepressants, and he just started getting on them, so he doesn't know what to do with it yet. But all the time he was home, he was completely different than anything I had ever seen him before in my entire life. He was completely opposite of what he'd been in the past. He would sit there, and you'd be talking to him, and he'd be sitting there fidgeting with his hands the entire time. And he would start a sentence, then he would immediately change mid-sentence into another sentence. And he would do this 5, 6, 7, or 8 times. He never finished one of those sentences that he started in the first place. He was continually up and down, in and out of the house. He was just crazy. He wasn't quiet. He was talkative. You couldn't get him to shut up. And this was unusual for Chris. Yes. Is he snorting lines, too, under the table? He's like, hey, everybody. Whoof. Hey, everybody. Let's go. This is great turkey, Grandma. That's real good. I'm going to go look. Your right front left tire. Your right front tire. Both of them, left and right. I don't know which one. They've looked a little low. I'm going to go outside and check them out. Okay, Grandma, I'll do that. If they're okay, I'll take it down on this thing. I'll fill it up myself. It's okay. You got a pump here, or should I take it to the gas station? No problem. That's great.
Well, he didn't finish his sentences?
Hold on. I'm going to take some turkey with me. Got to go. Bye. Didn't finish. That's what he did before.
He was on down to is that turkey? Is that the white meat? I really like the dark. Listen.
Do you remember when he was doing the interview? That's what he was doing. He was stopping and going into something else. So it was like he's very, very scattered. So he said at some point, if you got him to where you could get him to be still long enough, he would be sitting there next to Pop and he would be happy. Then he would get up and he would run out of the room and do something. He was all over the place. He would then he would change, and a few minutes later he'd be upset about something. Then a few minutes later he'd be over that and in tears about something else.
That is not handling an antidepressant well. That's what
no,
that is.
That's you need to go back to the doctor, and he had an appointment. So I mean, you can only go when you have an appointment. I guess they could have taken him to the emergency room. They could have adjusted, but still, I don't even know.
Breakdowns of tears.
He's having
that's not good.
So there's no doubt they have all the forensics and everything. There's no doubt that he did this. He shot his grandparents. He set it on fire. That's not a thing. It's all about the pack, all about the Zoloft. That's it. Yeah. So during the closing arguments, the prosecutor reminded the jurors how this was carried out. The shotguns, the burning. It's all very meticulous and very premeditated and scary. You know what I mean?
Hitman style. It's fucking grim.
Bow, pow, pick up the shell casings, light the place on fire with a delay, with a candle with paper and a thing. And that's fucking nuts, man. That's what hitmen do. In the closings, though, they said, quote, I don't care how old he is. This is a malicious killing, a murder. And as you are ever as malicious a killing as a murder as you're ever going to find. And he pointed out there, and he pointed out in his statement, in Chris's statement, and he said his grandparents deserved it.
Yikes.
That's that. So verdict comes in, and he is found guilty of big boy murder, big boy adult murder.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So during sentencing, his whole family's begging for mercy here for him.
Really?
Joe Dolphus said, quote, Mom and Dad, were they here today, would be begging for mercy for Chris.
What? No, I don't know if they would.
I mean,
that's
I don't know if he's the spokesman for them at that point.
Joe Dolphus. Come on, man.
Come on, Joe Dolphus. Chris's aunt said, quote, he's a good kid. We've got a good family, and I beg for leniency. They said, Chris, anything out of your mouth? And he said, quote, I know it's in the hands of God. By the way, have you played GoldenEye? It's really cool. My dad said I couldn't play it anymore. But no, he didn't break off
you heard of
there.
Mario 64? It's incredible.
He said, I know it's in the hands of God. Whatever he decides on, that's what it's going to be. That's what he said.
No, there's 12 people right there. There's no God here.
So the judge, it's the judge that's sentencing him, not even the people, because it's not a death penalty case. So
got it. Yeah,
it's the judge would go, well, actually, I'm God today. So if that's what you think, then I guess I'm God. He says, you, sir, you young child boy, stir kid, may fuck off 30 years on each count of murder.
Oh, Jesus God.
To run concurrently, though. Yeah, okay. So 30 years, which was the minimum penalty he could give. That was the absolute minimum allowed by law. Maximum sentence was life without parole. So, or no, not life without, because he was too young for that. So life with parole. So that was the most. Instead, 30 years, and that's the minimum. So he was trying to help the kid out anyway.
Still feels heavy.
That's a lot for a 50. That's twice his life.
Right.
So how much I've lived so far, and I only remember like 2/3 of it because I was too little, that 2 more times? Well,
and
shit.
Thinking back, Like, my earliest memory of, like, a real good memory is when I was 10, and that was just 5 years ago, and it feels like for fucking ever.
That's when I rubbed my dick on a couch by accident. That was my
So you're
shining
telling me
moment.
I got to do
Felt
the
good.
last 5 years 6 times?
6 times. I don't think I like that.
I don't know if I'm going to outlive that.
No. Joe Dolphus told the judge he supported his son even though the victims were his own parents. And after that, he called on both the governor, Mark Sanford, and President George Bush to pardon his son, please.
Please don't.
He said, I love my son with all my heart, as I did my mom and dad. And mom and dad, if they were here today, would also have begged for mercy. So the sister, Danielle, who's Danielle Pittman Fincham, she went on the Today Show on NBC and said that her brother is not guilty and her family will keep fighting for his release. You can't say he's not guilty.
No, because
you can say you should have tried. They should have tried him as a child.
Right,
that's an okay statement. She said, I think everybody failed him in some way or another. Okay, I see
we
that.
shouldn't let Danielle near a microphone anymore.
No, Danielle. And I feel bad for Danielle, too. Her mom ran away, came back, told her to fuck off. She hasn't killed anybody.
No.
You know?
Great points. Points.
I mean, I'm sure she's got some pain, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, her grandparents are dead. The stable house wasn't really there. She's
tough.
tough.
Having trouble communicating it.
Little brother's a murderer who she stuck up for and tried to help all the time, and it's tough, man. She said, I mean, you can't go through life and not fail somebody in a certain way. The fuck does that mean? You can't. I mean, you can't go through life and not fail somebody in a certain way. Is she just using words to make sentences to go to other thoughts that she had?
She's saying we're all failures at some point at something, but you can't say it like that.
I guess you can emphasize somebody in a certain way,
right? But what your brother killed your grandparents. He didn't fail your grandparents.
No, not at all. He failed all of you by killing your grandparents. She said, we're going to fight for him, and if I have to keep fighting for the next 29 years to get him out, he's not going to stay there the full time that he's supposed to. All right? Okay. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. So his father also said, quote, I was a single father, and I did the best I could for my kids. I lost my mom and dad, and today I lost my son, too.
Oh, Joe.
Jesus Christ. His lawyer, Christopher's lawyer, said, we're devastated, we're heartbroken, we're mystified the state chooses to treat a 12-year-old as an adult. Honestly, it just sounds ridiculous to even say it out loud. In any other scenario, if there was a child standing there for an adult activity, you'd go, he's not an adult. He can't do this. You can look at him and see he's not a fucking adult. But the one is like, once he killed somebody, that somehow gives him magical adult knowledge. That's what I don't get. Like, he still has the same brain. Yeah. So it doesn't make fucking sense. I get that you don't want 12-year-olds killing people with impunity. No. But I think juvie would have been okay and figure out something along those lines.
He's not even allowed to go buy Mortal Kombat by himself.
Yeah.
Like, this is
not
crazy.
At all.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts, man. So jurors also, there was some controversy because 2 of the jurors admitted feeling coerced into their decision, and another juror openly discussed the trial with not only his wife, but his bartender as well.
What the fuck, man?
It's not your priest, asshole. You can't. I know it's, wow, what a dick. A different juror, though, juror Christine Peterson, she was the grandmother of a 12-year-old during this trial.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, she said initially the panel was divided on the drug's impact as well as on the question of Pittman's youth. How can he be divided on the question of his youth? Is he 12 or not? Yes. Okay, then what the fuck are we arguing about? What are we arguing about? If they're 80, do we go, I don't know if he's a senior citizen. Let's see how he acts? What the fuck are we saying?
I love that she was the grandmother of a 12-year-old at the time because you forget real quick what it's like to be 12.
Fuck yeah, man.
There's zero responsibility.
None.
You're not an adult.
Life is crazy. You have no idea. You don't even know.
Shit.
You don't know insurance exists yet. You don't even know it's a thing that happens.
You're in 6th fucking grade.
It's crazy. Fuck, man. This juror went on to say, it bothered me a lot. It was not an easy decision, but everyone kept saying, look at the evidence, look at the evidence. She added, I'm sure many of us had sleepless nights. Another juror said, this is the jury foreman Arnold Haidt. He said, if Chris Pittman had been 25, we would have come to a decision much earlier. Because of his age, it was very, very difficult. Yeah, this guy's a university professor, that guy. One of the jurors said, just because you take a prescription medication doesn't mean you can't be held accountable for your actions. What if you combine that with being 12, though? What about then? How about then? How about you put that with a 12-year-old on prescription medications that he doesn't understand or didn't choose to take? So, it's not that he shouldn't have. I don't know.
There's so
I'm not
many
a doctor,
medications that have such weird psychological side effects that I disagree with that statement.
Yeah, and disclaimer too, neither of us are doctors.
No.
So that's why we're not arguing about the drug stuff and what it does exactly, because I can give you some stats of shit like that, but we're not going to fucking go out on a limb and be like, this is what it does to your brain. I don't fucking know. I'm not a doctor.
And
I know what 12-year-olds are, though.
We're also unique and different. Drugs affect different people different ways.
Absolutely.
So there's no way to fucking blanket any of that.
That's why ladies out there who've taken birth control pills, how many pills did you go through till you found the right one, right? It takes like 5 before this one makes me spot, this one I bleed too much, this one blah, 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 this one makes me feel like that. I gained fucking 30 pounds in 2 days on this one. There's all sorts of this one made me break out. I hated
myself taking this one.
Yeah, this one made me depressed. There's all those different ones, so it could happen. So Pfizer, though, they feel... Pfizer says that in a statement after the verdict, quote, Zoloft didn't cause his problems, nor did the medication drive him to commit the murder. On these 2 points, both Pfizer and the jury agree.
Wow.
How about just don't make a statement on this? That sounds really dick. Now, they had in April a Santa Cruz, California man who beat his friend was acquitted by a jury of attempted murder after he blamed it on Zoloft. But in at least 2 other cases in Michigan and North Dakota, they rejected similar claims. There was 32.7 million prescriptions for Zoloft written in 2003.
Yeah, it was a very
that is 10% of the United States population was prescribed Zoloft only in 2003. So think about that. Think about all the other medications. That's a lot of medication. That's a lot of people on medications. Last October, though, it was 2004, the FDA ordered Zoloft and others to give the warning about behavior in children. 2006, state Supreme Courts of South Carolina heard oral arguments on his appeal, Pittman's appeal. A petition to pardon Pittman was also presented at the trial. The justices were asked to hold off on moving Pittman to the adult penitentiary, but the delay was denied. They're moving him there. A vote of 4-1, they affirmed his decision, the court's decision, and sent him to adult prison.
To man prison.
Send him to adult prison. He should be fine.
He's now 16 or 17?
Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
2008, the U.S. Supreme Court refuses to hear the case.
We don't want to hear it.
Not interested, so don't want to hear the case. Oh, he's 18 in 2007. So, 2008, they don't want to hear the case, so he's stuck until South Carolina Circuit Court Judge Roger Young approves Pittman's post-conviction relief petition and granted him a new trial based on the finding of ineffective counsel. Okay. The judge refused a request by the state to reconsider his decision. In December 2010, rather than another trial, Pittman enters into a plea bargain pursuant to which he pleads guilty to the crime of voluntary manslaughter and receives a sentence of 25-year sentence, including time served from the 30 to life term.
Okay.
So he's currently imprisoned in the Allendale Correctional Institution with a projected release date of February 22nd, 2023.
My birthday.
2 months. I know that. That's why I thought that was so cool. When I saw it, I was like, hey, it's Jimmie's birthday. So there you go. He's coming out on your birthday, Jimmie. Invite him to your party.
Unbelievable. That's parole, though, right?
That's when he's supposed to get out of prison. Yeah, I think that's his out date because he got 25.
Yeah,
and he's gotten credit for time served. I think that's his out date. Like he did the whole time, or he did that bid or whatever.
Yeah,
no, it's got to be parole because if it's 25 years, given credit, he's going to do 20 at the time.
Yeah, so that's parole.
So that's enough. Yeah, they're saying that's when they have him. I guess they already approved parole, and that's when he's being released. Is then. So there you go, everybody. That's South Carolina for you, old Chester.
Watch yourself.
Watch yourselves. That's a crazy fucking story, is it not? Jesus Christ.
I can't believe there's so many questions.
Oh, that's the other thing I have to tell you about this story. Yeah. The book it's from, I got to give credit to the book because a lot of that was from the book. The book it's from is hilarious. It's called Die, Grandpa, Die. This is why
Jesus Christ.
I couldn't tell you at the beginning because this is the full title. Die, Grandpa, Die, a killer kid, a loaded shotgun, a horrifying double murder. Well, good night, everybody. That's the whole show. You know exactly what's going to happen. It's by Dale Hudson.
Why'd Dale leave out the fire, for Christ's sake?
No, shit. And then when you look that book up, it's hard to find. So another book, you know when like the results come up under each other, like they're connected and related? Mm-hmm. The other book is, it's like if you buy this book, you should buy this book. Yeah. The other book is Why Did Grandpa Die? A book about death from 1985 with a bunch of cartoon kids on the front with a kid looking sad sitting on their dad's lap and dad explaining that Grandpa's dead. You can get a $5.99 used. That seems like something you'd want in your collection, right? Why did Grandpa die? So there you go, everybody. There it is. Shit. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, you can tell everybody by getting on whatever app you're listening on and giving us 5 stars. It helps drive the show up the charts so much. But more than anything, tell your friends about the show. Tell people you know. Post about it on social media. We have no idea why it is that way, but the human brain takes advice from people you trust much more than anything else. So that, if you want to help out the show, that's really the greatest way you can do it, is just tell people about it, give a review, and then tell your friends, and that's golden. That's what and put it on social media. So thank you so much for doing all of that. Really. You can head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now.
What's there?
Today, tickets are on sale for our live shows for 2023. Yeah. All the shows through May anyway. The rest of the shows go on sale in a couple weeks. So, yeah, get those in there. First shows up Cleveland on February 10th and St. Louis on February 11th. Those are very close to getting sold out. So please get your tickets. Get in there right away. As also, we are going to have, in addition to Crime and Sports sticking around, we're going to be doing a new show that we will announce in the beginning of January. So about 2 more weeks, we'll announce what it is. It's going to come out in February, just like Small Town Murder and Crime and Sports did. And it's a new show that we're very excited about. We cannot wait to tell you about it. We think you're going to love it. So we'll get on that very soon. Patreon.com/CrimeInSports is where you get all the bonus stuff. Huge back catalog. How many? 150 episodes or something? The back bonus shit you're going to get?
Track.
I don't even know. There's a shitload of them. It'll take you a while you'll go through the new year with these sons of bitches. Get in there, do that. Plus, every other week, you're going to get 2 new episodes. 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder. Every goddamn week except Christmas, where on Christmas was our one time we go, we're taking a little easy. Last year, my grandmother died, so I wasn't exactly partying. And then this year, my son's coming out, and Jimmie's got his kids at Christmas, and it's a lot of Christmas stuff. So, and the bonuses are a Christmas Eve thing. I got 20 people coming over, so we are going to do a bonus episode, though. You definitely deserve it, and that's our thing to you. We are going to give you, it is our worst comedy gigs of all time that we've ever been involved in.
Oh, hell gigs. Yeah.
Worst shows, hell gigs, and at the end of the show, we'll also talk about both our favorite and least favorite Christmas songs of all time as well. Because it'll come out Christmas Eve, so what the fuck, why not? So keep doing that. Keep hanging out with us and everything like that. Patreon also, if you sign up for that, not only do you get all that shit, anybody $5 a month or above, but you also get a shout-out.
Yes.
You get a shout-out. By the way, follow us on social media, at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, at Small Town Pod on Facebook. But the people are the most important thing, and we have the most wonderful fucking listeners. And Jimmie, tell me who they all are. Tell me about all of them. I need to hear about it right fucking now.
This week's executive producers are Nilu Rafsanjani up there in San Francisco. We'll see her in San Diego. She's going to come down to the show.
Awesome.
I missed her terribly. Shelby Whitman, and she donated in Italian Grandma's memory, James. That was very
thank
nice.
you so much. It's been a year.
Brian Whitney, Centennial Kennels in Ontario, Canada. Jordan Bennett and Simon both up in Canada also. And Jordan's sister Morgan. Hang in there, Morgan. Everything's going to be okay. Everybody loves you. Other producers this week are Bobo Brazil, Peyton Meadows, Happy Hour checking in, and Albuquerque. You know
Bobo, the great champion. Yeah, he's a old school wrestler, 60s, 70s.
Gary Friedman said he's the same age as us. Isn't that bizarre? And he just happens to have these old people references.
Well, he might like history shit. I like history
or hang out with his grandparents or his parents a lot.
That's why I know who they are, because I'm a dork. I like to study.
A great family is probably
maybe a good family. That's all it could be.
Happy Hour in Brazil. No, where at? Oh, that's Bobo Brazil.
Flipper was not a dolphin, Jimmie. Sorry.
Sarah Surridge, Maurice Wiggs, Thomas Tonkin, Charles
Maurice
Cartwright,
Wiggs won't
Terrence
fall off.
Trent. Do you know who Terrence Trent D'Arby is?
Yes. He's that singer from the late 80s.
Yes. Somebody donated his name.
Janice.
Yes. You get it.
But that's Terrence Trent D'Arby. Yeah.
Janice Hill, Rosa Martinez's brother Angel. Happy birthday, Angel. Abdullah the Butcher's forehead. Larry.
Wow. All these wrestlers. Sweet.
Larry Bird's porn stash. Robert Tosky. Hannah Quinn and her pup Kanyoki. Kaja Christine Solberg. Mijelva Jensen. Jesus.
Karma Chameleon? What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Elaine Carberry, Rowan Barnes, Emily Mann, Stephanie Allen, Ova Fofa. That can't be right. Roush Fan, Nick Akers, Ann Meisenheimer, Sharon Racely, Carolyn Grillo, Kristen Jensen, Cass Nanners, Lindsay Williamson, Rhonda Cooey Brisson, Pat O'Brien. That can't be right.
Maybe it's Pat O'Brien.
I
Everybody.
hope it's him.
Let's watch some college basketball, shall we?
Did you ever hear
I'm
his
Pat
tapes?
O'Brien. Yes.
His tapes are amazing.
Yeah.
Courtney Valentino, Bo Coons, Jen Wong, Christina with no last name, Marcus Ferrier, maybe, Cheryl Lyman, Seth Morrissey, Anita Surdell, Naina, I think, with no last name, Sabrina Dunham. Yeah, Durham, Nicole Davenport, Amber Wright, Christoph S., Tammy Silver, Jeffrey Babcock, Jennifer Eloge, Whitney Anzaludo. What? Anzeldua. Antoine Hirsch, Justin McIntyre, Aaron Evers, Cassie Wright, Sean Kelly, Julie Metzler, Danielle Barnes, Patrick Murphy, Kelly Anderson, Mapner Honky Rabby. Nope.
What was that?
Mapner Honk Rebella. Nope.
Didn't sound anything like the first time we said it.
Frasanthan Nagan, I think. Coena Messing. Quentin Graham, Melissa Kelly, Bailey Gaspar, Dianelle Delgado, Travis Schlemme, Val with no last name, Brad Jessup, Dana with no last name, Nathaniel Posey, Joni Fourneau, Joelle Marie. Kelly Scott, Matthew Kohler, Leah Korber, Brian Sherbowski, Ray with no last name, Kara Gregg, Amy Waters, Jorboa, Gooden, J.R. Erickson, Joey, nope, that's Joe, Huber, Ashley Goker, Brody Crawford, Michael Stout, Sherry Davis. She got her name back after her divorce. Congratulations.
Hey, good for
Suzanne Baxley, and also Stephen Baxley. Sherry Bombard, Roberta Shearer, Kelsey Juleseth White, Afton Moss, Wes Crawford, Chris Griffin, McKyler, Korth, Chad Vaughn, Times One Ender, X1 maybe? I don't know. Jamie Martin, Jason Enyart, Elizabeth Vasquez, that's not Liz Vasquez, that's another one. Mariah Carter, Sean Elkins with James Diaz, Sway with no last name, probably also Antec. Riley Fortin, Jonah Garcia, Carolyn B., Samantha Brock, David Kohler, Felicity Malias, Haley with no last name, Romaine Stevenson, Sneaky Seraphin, Melissa Coplinger, G. Moyer, Aaron McAvoy, Michelle Mabry, Gail the Snail, Darlene Davis, Jesse Delamate, B. Varner, Sherry Engelkeys, Monica Farrell, Catherine Spear, Cherie Bondurant, Never Enough Dildos. All right. Andrew Alexander, Bang Bang Bird Gang, Jennifer Rogers, Stephanie Wright, Amy Marsh, Baron, nope, that's Aaron, Hone, Eliza Butcher, God damn it, Jordan Tesner, Jennifer Oakes, Alex Thomas, Don Perotti, Jordan Collins, Elizabeth Kay, Shannon Rogers, Jamie Jenkins, Brad Barley, Natalie Grosso, Ron Burris, Katie Kaminyars.
You just ran out of gas on that.
Oh boy. BB Brogeria. Catherine
should have been followed with an I don't know what I'm doing. One of those famous ones from back in the day.
Teresa Crocker, Desta Lynn, Lauren Fiotto, Martha Parker, Amanda Dyke. What? All right, this is not right. Amanda Dickemia.
Oh, you're got a Bart
Somebody's
Simpson.
fucking with me. There's no way this is a real name. Amanda Dickemia.
Is there a man to dick me up?
That's what it is.
I'm looking for a man to dick me up. Ha ha! Ah, you bastards! When I get a hold of you, I'm gonna rip your tongue out and shove it up your ass.
You better tweet us.
That's a definite Moe's Tavern.
John
McGuire.
Moe's Tavern. How can I? Amanda Dickamy.
That's what it is.
John McGuire. Abby with no last name. Brittany Warapius. Rachel Fisher. Becky.
War penis. Family name.
Becky
penis.
Mockford, Amelie Elgren, the Carp with no last name, Chelius Thomas, that's probably not right either, Timothy Sawyer Garza, Sarah Dixon, Charlin Pepper, Timothy Snyder, Chris
Harlan
with no last
Pepper.
name. What is it?
Harlan Pepper.
That might be. It's probably another Moe's Tavern. I'm just gonna go Moe's Tavern when I see him. That's what I'm gonna go.
I think that's a Best in Show reference, Harlan Pepper?
Maybe. I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Timothy Snyder, Chris with no last name, Kevin Fest, Noah Perry, Candy Brewer, Tanya Houston, Jenny Babita, Samuel Redke, I think, Adrian Flores, Stacy Nicole Lawson, Sean Smith, Neely Mitchell, Sarah Seward, Lauren Curtis, Carlos Callwood, Shayla Lolo, Amy Woodward, Paige Brush, oh, boy. Mackenzie Sorensen, Katie Houghton, Josh Fisher, Josh Ryan. Nope, that's Josh Ray. Kenny Russell, Scanati Lee. That can't be real. Canetti Kitchen, Megan Kerbon, Shelby Go Yet. Giovanni Gnocchis, Jessica Snow, Charles Ashley, Vanessa Borquez, Kevin Owens, Tobias Gregory, Derek Kelly, Julianne Tufts, Sam Burris, and Daisy, and all of our patrons. You guys are terrific. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. From the bottom of our hearts, we cannot thank you enough for what you do for us every goddamn day. And you keep it up, we'll keep it up. How's that? Good deal? That sounds fun. We have one other thing.
And
one
also,
other thing.
Hey, Valerie Callahan is a UPS worker, James. I don't know if you know her.
Oh,
Great
no,
gal.
I don't.
Great gal.
But I've heard how wonderful she is.
My friend Mark Bash really likes her, and
really
he would
likes her?
Really appreciate it if Valerie Callahan would marry him and be Valerie Bashahan.
Just shorten it to Bashahan.
It's Basch. If you know Mark, that guy, he would like to marry you and be
if
Mrs.
You know him.
Mrs. Valerie Bashash.
And if you don't know who that is, I would refuse the invitation.
Evidently,
but if you do,
she listens every day at work, and they're going to be at our Seattle and Portland shows, or they were at them. They were. They'll be there this year. We'll see you then.
So
let us know if she says yes or no.
Yes, say yes. It's what a nice gesture. So
she'll be Mrs. Basacich.
That said, you want to follow us on social media? Very easy to do. There's links to everything and shutupandgivememurder.com. Just keep coming back and seeing us week after week after week after week, and listen to the new show and listen to Crime and Sports and do all that shit. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Miriam, bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head,
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.